Hey everyone. Hey Chisme.
Hello, Mar. Hello, everyone.
Hey guys. Hey Jess, Lynn, Mark. Ah, how is everybody? How was your day, Chisme?
Doing pretty good.
Pretty good. Hey Mark, how you doing, Mark? I'm telling you, every day. That's why yesterday I had to take a break, guys. Um, but every day it's like we got the white Hyundai. And from what I heard about this white Elantra, even though it's supposedly debunked, I know that. But Kaz said to me earlier that so I guess Dan Etzty, which I pulled his report, Kaz did actually, um, originally from Maine but lives in Oregon. This is the owner of 1122 King, but has a real estate business called Bluebird Real Estate in Moscow. But what was funny is that Kaz said that he only changed it to the LLC after the murders. Hey, Merrick. Hey, Princess. And supposedly this was the owner of the car that was found in Oregon, where Madison comes from. And you know, Kaz also came out with an interesting theory. She's actually um, doing some normal physical doctor appointments for her eyeball. Hey, GB.
Yeah.
Have you?
How's that going?
She's good. She's going to get the other one done.
Ouch.
Her first eyeball healed really good. So now she needs to go through it with the other one. So we're going to get the Terminator back.
hmm Hello,
So,
everyone. GB.
have you guys ever thought about this that Kaz said to me in the car we were talking today about how they're walking on the latest surveillance that was released where Kaylee says, Maddie, what did you tell Adam? And then Maddie says, I told him everything. Do you think that maybe that's why the phone calls were going out to Jack that night for some type of damage control? I don't know what type of damage control, but Kaz was saying, and I thought, you know what? That's interesting. That could explain the phone calls to Jack like that night.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought about it like
They
that.
called for a reason. I was
But
thinking
go ahead.
that I mentioned it before, I think. I was thinking that Kaylee was calling. It's just a theory bit. I'm not saying that this is what happened. That Kaylee was calling Jack to get back together, but Jack was already determined that he was gonna do Jack D, and he left his phone at home, so he never received the phone calls. So he already had done his deed, and when he got home, he realized she was trying to get back with him. So it's like a tragedy that if he would have waited, he would have gotten the calls, and they would have ended up together.
So maybe if Jack would have answered the phone, he would have showed up over there.
No, if he would have answered the phone, they would have they would have gotten together if that's what Kaylee wanted. But since he had already determined and had it in his mind that they were going to be split up. So he went over there without knowing that she was going to call him, and then he did that, and then afterwards he realized that she was trying to call him to get together, but it's too late. I
Maybe.
know it's way out there, but
No, it's not. I love everyone's theories. Hey, Lana. Hello, Lily Pad and Danielle. Skip Tracer. But I found that
hello.
interesting because we were kind of like, why so many phone calls to Jack? And that,
Yeah.
but then once we see the cam where she says, "What did you tell Adam?" I told Adam everything, and we know that Adam's the bartender, and Jack and him are good friends.
Roommates.
So that does kind of make sense.
Yeah, if she told him everything and then he went and told
Hey, money.
Jack that they, what they told him, just got all, mixed up. He said,
But
she said, he said.
what do you guys think was said? Do you guys maybe think that um like what would Maddie have told Adam? It had to have been something that happened with Kaylee because Kaylee's asking, "What did you tell Adam?" I told him everything. Everything about what?
About what
It,
she was out there doing, and then Adam went and told uh, Jack.
that's so I really wish I knew what was said. Hmm.
Could be anything. It could be that Maddie was in love with Adam, and she was over there, telling him before she took off for her vacation that how much she liked him.
Let me show you guys this too because I'm going to go back into the hey Jay, I'm going to go back into the webcams. Yeah, back into the
Have
webcams
you
for a second.
have you ever been tipsy and then you tell some guy, oh, I love you, I want to be with you, or whatever, and then the next day you're like, you
Yeah,
can
and what
see
I'm
him. I'm just
thinking.
kidding.
Oh, go ahead, babe. But what I'm thinking is that that Adam was bartending at the corner club that night and they were a little buzzed, blah, blah, blah. But knowing, see, Kaylee knew that what I feel, my opinion, this is my opinion, that whatever Maddie did tell Adam, that it was going to get back to Jack. I, I said, Jack,
Hmm.
I get these Jack, Jake, two Davids and two Jacks and a Jake and a skinned dog and four dead college kids. Like, what is going on?
And fur on the balcony.
Hello, Money Moves. Hey, Raybird. Everybody was asking
Hi.
about you last night, Money. We hope that you're doing good.
Yes.
Hello, Marilyn. Hello, I'm sorry. Hello, Malin. So these were the cameras, guys, that I was talking about that are in Moscow. There are 15 of them. Now, even though they don't go live, you can actually go back into time. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Right,
And
Jay?
you can actually figure in the timestamp how far they go back. I do not know. But I got back to 228 2022.
That's
And
good.
literally, I mean every single cam you can go back on. But that one's kind of too dark. Let me go to a
Ooh, can you see when they're walking to the club?
yeah, there's one corner that is at the D Street right here. The Palouse River one isn't this where that area was where that one person was found in the river? But this is it right here.
Yeah, they have two.
This is the camera that they're talking about. This one shows like the whole little hangout area. It's Jackson. This is on 12/20, so this is actually today, but you can go back on the time lapse and
Mm-hmm.
then you can play it. Watch. 15 of these cameras in Moscow. Interesting, right?
Yep. I need to
We
look in
need to
for San
discuss
Antonio.
hazing. And there's even one with the gas station in it. I guarantee you that this is what they're looking at, trying to figure out where that car went, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This actually looks like a busy area right here. Oh, there's the gas station. One sec. So this is US Junction. I'm not sure what. But here's the gas station that saw the car go by. Let's click into a time lapse and just. So this is it. They got a lot of cameras there. Oh, there's the culprit.
Did you see it?
Did I see what?
The
No,
car.
I just saw the white truck that they're talking about that maybe that Loach has. But I could not believe those webcams that I found because I was tracking Jackson Square when Gabby Petito and them were out there trying to see if I could go back because they had YouTube cams that you could actually go back like 2 days worth. And then we were looking for Sion, the little Irish hiker that went missing from that area when his mom came from Ireland to find him, who's never been found. And also, before we get into this a new video from the clown, it has been 1 year today that Chismes and my little baby, Lena Sadar, went missing.
Mm-hmm.
We will touch on that at the very end, but it is can you believe a year today that
Yeah.
little Lena went missing,
They released the full video of the uh, Vivint or whatever, the doorbell cam.
right?
I have it.
Yeah, let me show you guys the Google Earth real quick. I still have a couple names to add, but I just want to show you this. I am actually going to drop this link in the member chat and I'm going to leave it open so that you guys can edit the the project and add what you want to add into it as far as addresses.
Oh, yeah, good
But let
idea.
me just show you real quick. And I found something weird. I don't know if it was a glitch or something, but I'll show you because when I try to put Enon Harsh in, because as you see, I'm putting everybody in. I've got, this is not their address now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Chisme. Okay.
Yes, I hear
Yeah,
you.
this is
But I'm trying to
where
figure out who Hudson is.
they where they grew up. Okay. Where's the thing? Hey, Dragonette. So go back and just put in the areas of where the kids, their homes. So as you can see, I have managed to stalk Kaylee, Adam, Alada, Xana, Ethan, Jack, Decor, Show Water, Ida. I have to get Loach and I need to get the David B in and find out where they grew up. And then, of course, Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen. I haven't put them in yet. But I want to show you guys something weird. So, Adam Luda's down here, with this kind of resin a little bit. I think he's near Idaho Falls, Twin Falls. Jack Showwater. Showwater near Boise. There, a little cluster, Idaho, and then right up here, Anna, Kaylee, Madison, and Nicole. Ethan this is where I kind of find it strange. So Ethan is down over here in Washington, that on Wednesday. So I put Enon's address of where he is in Washington State. I can't see chat, guys. So if you want, tell me. So if I go in and I put in Ethan's address, I click enter. I mean, Enon's address. And Enon lives, well, his family, 5621 Johnson Road. And it doesn't come up. But it was coming up right here on Ethan's dot earlier. Let me try it one more time. Let me cam all the way out. Let me X this. All right, let's see. That's weird.
Who is Hudson? Skip Tracer. He says we need to discuss the casing.
Yeah, like on Ethan's address. Let me refresh this. It was popping up where Ethan lived. And I...
Enon?
The what? Yeah, Enon. And I deleted Enon out of the mix and put Ethan in, and he came up. But then when I would go to put Enon's address in again, it was like they were in the same building.
What?
You'll see. Maybe it will
They're
do
dormant.
it. Yeah, I thought maybe it was a glitch. Okay. So Enon Harsh's address is 5621 Johnson Road, and take the underline color out. Maybe that was affecting it. I copy it and I paste his address right into the search.
If Enon wanted to be part of the group,
And
he
I
could have
hit
been
enter.
like a mentor or something like that, teaching them how to culinary, skills. Being that he's older.
It's just too weird. See? Now watch. Johnson Road. See, it popped up. Now watch what happens when this comes up. If it ever loads. I'm sorry, guys. I can't see chat. It's going to put us right at Ethan Chapman's place. Give that a second. Let me go back into comments while that thing spins. Hello, sweet Caroline.
Hudson Lind was a young man that was found in a shallow creek in Moscow. Okay, was that his name?
What was his name?
Hudson Lindo.
I can go look him up too. You can pop it in the private chat, please. Why is this not? Okay, let me try this one more time, guys, and I'm going to get out of here. And like I said, I'm going to drop this into members only on edit mode so you guys can add whatever. Dylan's missing, Bethany's missing, and Loach and David B. I can't remember his last name. See? It takes me to Ethan. I mean, you cannot make it up. I exit out, I put it back in, two different addresses completely. Come on, Res.
What?
Yep, and it pops me right to Ethan.
Oh shoot.
But the weird thing is that Pullman, Washington comes from. See? Right there. That's just which is that was the map we have been putting together. And I'm going to add the landlord and see if he's got any criminal. So, won't that be fun, members? We can do projects together. Hey, singing cat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The more, you know what I mean. The more people working together, the more crimes we can solve.
Yeah, and another thing that verified a couple of things that I was curious about that I was not certain of was where Xana grew up. And now you see that she's definitely part of the Kaylee, Madison, and decor. Hey, Jennifer.
I I saw on one of the newscasts it said that Kaylee was from California, or was that when she was real young?
Um, I don't know. The rumor was for a while was that Madison was from Oregon, but she's not. She comes from Coeur d'Alene because that's how her and Kylie went to middle school together. And then Jack Showwater was all the way down just a little north of Adam. Okay. Let's go start this guys off. You know I've got some videos to watch because I love watching professional people's opinions.
Thank you.
I think I have a crush on Drip Drop.
He's got a certain appeal to him.
I left him a message. I told him that I would tag him in this video to see if he would come over. I went to his premiere today and he was in there and I was like, oh, hey, Drip Drop. He's really nice in the chat. Like, yeah, he says gay. And I thought that was kind of
Okay, so you got rid of Doug, you got rid of Mr. X, now it's
Mr.
Drip Drop.
X. Are you kidding me?
You know, he was calling you, you know.
Yeah, but I'm friends with
I
Jim and
know, you
Mr.
know I joke
X.
around with you.
I had to call Jim on his live today,
Who
and
else? Just kidding.
yeah, Jim Terry was trying to group me into some BS today, and I was at work.
Oh,
Hey,
I didn't finish watching that.
hey Marietta.
So
Does
you
she,
called in?
Jay? Oh yeah, I called in and told him, don't you ever put me into the thing about people with cash apps and asking for money or asking if you guys like the show, give me a donation. Have any of you ever heard me ever say that? Ever?
Say what again? I'm sorry, I was reading
Do
something.
you ever hear me say up here, hey guys, if you're enjoying the content, give me a cash app or there's my
No,
PayPal?
because I
Or
know
do
you're not in it for that. You just,
no, or have I ever told any of my mods to drop my links and PayPal and Cash App and push them?
no.
Absolutely not. Nope.
Half of us barely have any money as it is.
But
No,
you'll
you know what?
never hear me
Yeah,
do that because I'm not here for that.
yes. You want to spread awareness for everyone to
Yeah,
be vigilant.
Yeah, I like the small crowd, honestly. I like the people,
Mm-hmm.
but I do need to get more into Discord and stuff. But guys, I'm working so hard right now and trying to get out of this RV in the woods before I get snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you guys could please all send me 1 penny. I'm kidding. I need
Hey,
a
you might as well
penny.
start. Jay
Okay.
says her
No.
best friend lives in Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, Coeur
Yeah.
d'Alene. Do you pronounce Jack DeCoeur? Jack DeCoeur. Do you pronounce it Decour?
Hey, Lady V.
It's kind of like
Decor.
French. Yeah,
Yeah,
but like in the accent, I thought you pronounce it Decour. Anyway.
okay. Let's watch. Okay, I'm gonna actually go tag him while I start this video. 23 minutes. Let's bump it up to 1.25.
Oh, Crime
I gotta
Circus. Yeah.
use I gotta use the potty first. But we do have a couple of videos after this regarding that white car, and I have that landlord of the 1122 King Street background report pulled up. I haven't looked at it yet. Kaz pulled it up and put it in the room. Oh, thank you, Jennifer Knows Peace. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jess. Oh, guys, don't thank you very much, guys. Greatly appreciate it. But I'm seriously not asking for you guys to do that. But thank you. Hey, Debbie. You guys are great. Let's go watch my new crush. And let me go tag him real quick, and I'll be right back. Ooh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name is Drip Drop, and I'm your host as usual. Tonight, we're going to talk about a few different topics, such as new surveillance audio that's recently been released. We're going to analyze that together. Some of you out there might want to know, who is Adam? Some of you want to talk about Enon Harsh, the neighbor. We'll talk about Enon, and we're going to analyze some very recently released body cam footage that not many people have seen. Now, before we jump into this episode, I want to talk about a few very important things. Anybody discussed in this video is presumed innocent until proven guilty. None of the information in it. Everything is purely speculation and opinion only. As of right now, nobody knows who the killer is. First things first, I want to give a huge shout out to the Roma Army. That's great, and I highly recommend it. If you go check it out, make sure you tell her Drip Drop from Crime Circus sent you. I got to give a big shout out to Grizzly True Crime and all of the new Grizzlies that have made themselves home here at Crime Circus. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate you all. And for those of you that have never heard of Grizzly True Crime, I highly recommend it, so make sure you go check her out. And I've got to give a big shout out to Truth and Transparency for obtaining this body camera footage, so shout out. And that's the proper thing to do on YouTube, is to give a shout out when you've used somebody else's content and they've obtained it first. It's the right thing to do, and not a whole lot of people on YouTube do that. My recent videos have been my most stolen videos that I've ever released. To the ones that have been supporting me, thank you. All my new Patreons, thank you. My new channel members, thank you. Y'all help this show keep growing and keep going. I'm super thankful for everyone that supports the show, everyone that gives Crime Circus shout outs when you do use some of my content. To the bottom feeder, it's not as good, and I'm actually crafting voodoo dolls for each one of you. When you do that, typically come back to the night. Anyway.
Oh, jeez.
As you just heard, Kaylee said to Maddie, what did you say to Adam? And Maddie responded, like I told Adam everything. What do you think she meant by that? What in the world did Maddie tell to Adam? That seemed to be quite alarming to Kaylee. You might be wondering who Adam is. I'll tell you who Adam is. In my opinion, Adam is Jack's roommate or former roommate. I'm not so sure Jack's living in that house anymore, but I believe they lived together as roommates at one time. So why would Maddie be telling Jack's roommate everything? Let's check out some screenshots, and I'll show you who Adam is. Well, you might recognize this man. This is actually the same man from the TikTok video that I've previously showed you when I was showing you which house Murphy lived in. Let's take another look at the TikTok video so you can have a quick refresher if you haven't seen my previous videos. And if you haven't seen my previous videos, make sure you check them out. So as you can see, this is Adam here with a paper towel roll in his hand. Not quite sure what he seems to be doing with it, but then we can instantly afterwards in his TikTok. Now we're going to take a quick look at his Facebook page so you can see his name, so you can see that this is Adam. So there he is. That is the Facebook page, and you can see his name right there, Adam Latta. And he was in a fraternity as well. So what do you think this means? Kaylee's father has recently done an interview, and he doesn't seem to have any concern for who Adam was, and he seems to think Adam was the bartender. Jack's roommate could have been the bartender. That I don't know. We'd only be guessing because we just don't know. There could be multiple Adams running around the town, just like there's multiple Jacks. Bunch of Jacks, bunch of Adams. We don't know, but we do know that this is an Adam. And this Adam happened to live in Jack's house. So now we're going to come back towards this topic a little later on in this video to further expand on this. But I want to jump right into this new body cam footage that's recently been released. This body camera footage takes place approximately 2 months prior to when everybody passed away on November 13th. Apparently somebody called in a noise complaint on 1122 King Road. Let's see what happens when officers arrive. Well, right here you can see an officer peeking into the window. And that is the room that I believe would...
I hope he's not mad at me, but I always leave comments and I always put his videos in the description. And I just tagged him, so.
That's what I was
And
gonna
if you
say.
guys go look under this last video, you'll see the comment that I left. It says, "Great video, Drip Drop. I would love to talk to you. I'm going to tag you in our next live."
Yes.
So, hopefully you don't get mad, Drip Drop. I send everyone over to your channel.
Yeah, we love him.
We love you, Drip Drop.
We love you already.
Chisme want to have your baby.
end up being
at 59 years old. I like them young, but not that young.
It used to be a quite empty bedroom with a set of golf clubs. What do you think a set of golf clubs is doing inside this home? And where's Bethany? She's one of the surviving roommates. And if that was Dylan's room, where's Dylan? But I do think Dylan lived on the other side of the downstairs floor. So where's Bethany? Let's keep watching.
Get on the damn door.
Well, we watched this.
Hey, who's the owner or who lives here?
I can go get them real quick.
Okay, thank you, please.
That's Bethany.
So who was that girl that just
There's a
answered?
lot
It
of
looked a
people
lot
in
like
there.
Bethany. And some people have told me it is Bethany.
It's
Let's do a
Bethany.
side-by-side comparison. And I want you to tell me down in the comments, is this Bethany?
Yeah.
So I just live for everyone that lives here, and they're not here right now.
No one's here that
No one's here
that lives here at all.
No one's here that lives
So
here.
everyone here is trespassing?
Well, no one's here that's trespassing, but no one that lives here is here right now.
So where'd they go?
They're just not here. I have no clue where they went. No clue.
So you guys just throwing a party in their
One point, they're not here right now. I just searched all the rooms.
they left and went over to some other party, and everyone is about to
I
leave
just
to go
searched all
over
the
to
rooms
another
and
party.
looked for them.
Who does live here? What are their names?
I am actually not sure.
Bethany lied.
Just come over and drop.
Male, female?
Hey,
I think it's
Elantra.
mainly females. I think it's like 4
What
females.
sorority are they affiliated with?
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah, you
know if
do.
they're
I
associated
don't.
with it.
So I guarantee they're associated with the sorority. As many of them are living here. It's a North campus sorority house. I've been a cop for 22 years here. I'm not stupid. Don't play dumb games with me. I'd rather deal with this as a noise complaint than getting a hold of the Greek council and the Greek board and all of that, the students and playing all these stupid fucking games.
Do you?
All I
I
want
don't
to do
know.
is deal with
I don't know.
Quick question. Do you
because I
want us,
guarantee you there's a lot of underage drinking because they left their alcohol behind.
do you want us to try and get a name or phone number and
If
we
you
can
could.
call someone?
We just need to
I
I
would-
just live here. Otherwise, under the assumption you guys are unlawfully entered because no one who lives here is here.
Thank you,
Right.
man.
We'll go.
So I need
get
to
a phone
verify
number.
that there was a party here. So no one
We'll
laughs.
go get a phone number. We'll be right back. Sorry,
Thanks,
we're
guys.
not trying to make your life.
I understand. I just letting you know this is how it's going to play out. I'm not going anywhere until I talk to
No, we're
someone.
not trying to
We'll be right
just
back.
you guys find it. That way we can get some sort of communication.
Yeah, I know you.
And guys, just coming here. Literally,
I apologize for no one coming to the door. The issue was we were trying to find the
Everyone's kind of freaked out because cops are here. You guys have a good time,
Well,
right?
I've been at another house before and I went out and talked to the cops,
Yeah.
but I wasn't the
No worries.
resident, so they just told me to go back inside
Yep.
basically. So
No worries. So hey, just go ahead and get the contact. Thanks, man.
We'll be right back.
Why would Bethany lie?
So as you
because
can
she
see,
was
just 2
drinking?
months prior to the big horrible happening, the victim's house is
Sorry,
filled up with
Trip
people
Trap.
that don't live there. And apparently they have access to all the bedrooms while the girls aren't even home. So as you can see, the police department in Moscow, Idaho seems to have a super obsession with busting underage drinkers.
Start dumping alcohol.
No, they
Here we go.
don't. They have keys on their doors.
They abandoned property.
Look at this. I know, guys, we watched this on our own last night, but Drip Drop makes it so much more interesting.
White claws? White claws. You're going to be so angry.
Drip Drop, come say hello.
Yeah, these are cold.
These are cold. Just me. You can
So-
talk a little bit over
That's my
this.
college kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, Josh.
Oh, I forgot.
Yep.
Damn it.
So
Well,
the
in
only
the
crime
beginning of
happening in
that
this
video-
house, because they take this crime very serious. You can see this officer here displayed perfectly good truly. as nasty as it may be, it's
Read
still
the
a waste.
comment,
Somebody paid for
Jasmine.
that. And in this economy,
Check
it's not
your
good to waste
email.
stuff you paid for.
Skip
As you can
that.
see, these
Okay,
young
for
gentlemen
sure.
that answered the door don't really seem to have much of a clue about this residence, and it makes you wonder, what are they even doing there? What kind of party is happening in a house where the residents aren't even home? Definitely leaves the impression that pretty much anybody had access to this house, and the doors were most likely probably never locked.
This is one of the owners of Circus.
Yeah, there was some girls
Hi, this
leaving
is Officer
right
Welsh from
when
Austin
the
Police
cops
Department.
were
Who am I
getting
speaking
there.
with?
I wonder who those two were.
On this phone.
The one girl that answered the door is Bethany Funk, the one of the
Right.
surviving roommates. I said that last night, not last night, the night before. We actually played this footage, and
Yeah.
I said I can't believe the cops are littering,
Mm-hmm.
but that was Bethany Funk or Funk
Yeah.
who opened the door, one of the surviving roommates.
But at the beginning of the body cam, there are two girls walking away, and they ask them something, and I wonder if that backpack belonged to them, and I wonder who those girls were because I haven't, gotten a good look at them.
This was actually the incident that took place on September 1st, 2022. Cop is, yeah, he sure is. All right, let's go ahead.
I'm here. All right, can you hear me, Maddie?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Is someone looking out of the window?
Did you just hear who the cop was talking to?
Yeah, Maddie.
I didn't catch this the first time.
What do you mean?
Yeah, Maddie.
We were talking about it, weren't we? Or did we just see it?
I didn't realize he was talking to Maddie. Okay, let me listen.
Volume up
Yeah,
on this
so
on this phone here. EN.
Yep.
Okay. What's your date of birth, Madison?
Oh, she sounds so cute.
Okay. And is what's your current address?
1122 King Road.
Okay. And are you a student at U of I?
Yep.
Okay.
I will graduate with bachelor's. I'm taking my master's.
All right, Madison. So here's the deal. Okay. They've already said that no one here lives, none of the occupants that live at this address are here right now. So now you have a house full of random people. You need to let them know that the noise needs to come down. Okay. We just received a noise complaint. We want that music turned down. And we don't want to come back again tonight. If we have to come back again tonight, then there's going to be even more
You can see
problems.
clear
Okay.
inside, Matt.
I'm just
Zaina's
frustrated.
room.
I'm also so sorry once again.
I understand. Okay. It's just, I mean, if I were you guys, I'd probably just come home and make sure that whoever is partying here is keeping it down to a minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All of them.
Okay. So at this point, we're going to leave. Okay. And again, if I have to come back later tonight, like I said, I just want to express that there's going to be some citations given out. Okay.
Okay, very clear. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. You're evening, all right?
You too.
Bye.
So as you can see, we actually got to hear from Maddie Mogan, and that's what Maddie had to say for herself when the police officer spoke to her. Free to hear the voice of a victim in this crime. You can see this officer here really does not like underage drinking.
Thank you.
Hey, so, yep.
You already told her about noise?
Yep, already told her about noise. If we have to come back.
You guys noise in order. Yeah, but I would probably strongly suggest that anyone else is left here. They don't live here.
Thank you guys.
Not I'm gonna come back.
We weren't lying to you guys. I wasn't to hear that. We were just,
Yeah, they were here. They went to a party. This would not be the first party I've ever gone to. Why did they do that? I don't know. It happens. They were right there. Yeah, I guess that. But, yeah, we'll go let them know. And then make sure let them know I'm not going to stand out here.
Kids.
But if they think I'm not going to alcohol. Yeah. That's the first one you're going to get us.
Dude, the cops here probably take it with them and then take the drugs too if they had drugs.
Yeah, he's smart. He's stupid.
Right?
Pat them down right away.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, we're going to try. I appreciate you guys going on for us and helping us out a little bit. I'm sorry for the issues in the first place. Hey, it is what it is, man. I'm used to it. All right. You guys have a good one.
As long as you cooperate, huh?
Man, it smells like Truly.
Moving on. So what do you make of this body camera video that took place approximately 2 months before the passing? Does it mean it? Does this any more clues than answers? Personally, I'm not sure what to think about it. I don't even know if that was Bethany. And if that was Bethany, why was Bethany's room empty? Or was Bethany never actually living on the bottom floor, and maybe she lived on the second floor in what we all assumed was the empty bedroom? Maybe we haven't been told the truth since day one, which would raise even more questions if Bethany or Dylan was living on the second floor, which has been rumored since day one. Because personally, I haven't been told of either one of those girls being brand new roommates. I was under the impression they had been living there for a little while. Anyways, now moving on, let's check out a more recent body camera video that some of you have seen and some of you haven't. I'm just going to play a very short clip of this, of what is alleged to be a scream. I'm going to play it a few times for you. It's very high pitched and it's very faint, but when we hear it, the officer does move slightly. To me, this scream sounds like the historic scream that we've all heard in the old movie Psycho. If it's not that, well, it sounds similar. This is right around the time when the phone calls to Jack stopped at that night, and the girls were never heard from again. Coincidence? Or the actual crime taking place with police officers just feet away? Earbuds or headphones are highly recommended. If you're just listening on speakers, you might not even be able to hear it. It's super faint.
Okay, you hear it.
What did you think about that clip? Scream or not? Nothing's been edited or added to this footage. That comes from the...
You know what? I actually heard it that time.
A squeak? Yeah.
No, I heard like it sounded like it went. Ah!
I just heard.
Let's hear it again.
I heard.
Okay, let's listen one more time. I got my headphones on 100. Here we go.
It's direct from the official body camera that was provided. Check out another very small clip from the same body camera.
Close your eyes.
This information was overlooked for the first week or two in this body camera. Well, it sounds similar. And this is right around the time when the phone calls to Jack stopped at that night, and the girls were never heard from again. Coincidence? Or the actual crime taking place with police officers? Only raise more questions than answers. Personally, I'm not sure what to think about it. I don't even know if that was Bethany. And if that was Bethany, why was Bethany's room empty? Or was Bethany never actually living on the bottom floor, and maybe she lived on the second floor in what we've all assumed was the empty bedroom? Maybe we haven't been told the truth since day one, which would raise even more questions if Bethany or Dylan was living on the second floor, which has been rumored since day one. Because personally, I haven't been told of either one of those girls being brand new roommates. I was under the impression they had been living there for a little while. Anyways, now moving on, let's check out a more recent body camera video that some of you have seen and some of you haven't. I'm just going to play a very short clip of this, of what is alleged to be a scream. I'm going to play it a few times for you. It's very high pitched and it's very faint, but when we hear it, the officer does move slightly. To me, this scream sounds like the historic scream that we've all heard in the old movie Psycho. If it's not that, well, it sounds similar. And this is right around the time when the phone calls to Jack stopped at that night, and the girls were never heard from again. Coincidence? Or the actual crime taking place with police officers just feet away? Earbuds or headphones are highly recommended. If you're just listening on speakers, you might not even be able to hear it. It's super faint.
Yep.
What did you think about that clip? Scream or not? Nothing's been edited or added to this footage.
I hear it.
It comes direct from the official
No,
body
I didn't
camera
hear
that was provided to
anything.
the public. Now let's check out another very small clip from the same body camera. This information was overlooked for the first week or two when this body camera video was released, and it seems the police and FBI didn't even notice this. Us online sleuths did our investigation, and we found it together. So let's take a look at this body camera video and see what we see.
Never mind.
I actually heard
Right
it.
here, a minimum of 4 individuals running directly behind the cop car, coming from the exact
2,
direction that
3,
the crime took place.
4.
And this is right around the exact time
4.
that they say the crime took place. Not sure how the police and FBI overlooked it. We found it. Now, what do we think about that? As far as I know, nobody's come forward to admit that they were one of those 4 people running that night. We really do need to know, where were they running from and where were they going? That's important information in an investigation like this. This is ultra zoomed in on the body camera footage. And if you look at the original body camera footage, this is in the far upper right-hand corner. And it's very hard to see because in the upper left-hand corner, a different police officer is shining his light right at the camera. Again, it seems like we have more questions than answers. It seems like nobody really wants to come forward and be a hero in this case and tell any little bit of detail that they actually know. Somebody out there knows something. Those 4 individuals appear to have a pact of silence because nobody's come forward. And a lot of people out there think that more than one person committed a crime. We know who these 4 people are. Moving on. Some of you out there are familiar with the man wearing the ski mask. 2 photos of him were posted on the internet, including one that was taken at 3:28 a.m. on the morning of the crime. And according to his Snapchat location, he was in Moscow, Idaho. So what was somebody doing wearing a ski mask at approximately 3:30 in the morning when the crimes happened? Was he flaunting and bragging to the world in his little low-key way, or something else? Either way, seems like an odd picture to take for social media. I don't own a ski mask, and I don't know anybody else that does either. And as far as I know, typically people only wear ski masks during bank robberies and crimes. But I do know they sell them at a lot of Walmarts and other stores as well. So maybe I'm just an introvert that isn't aware of what people are wearing. Anyways, this is the man wearing the ski mask, and I'm going to show you various other images of different people that have been mentioned in relation to this case. I want you to take these men inside of the sea. Do any of them look similar enough to be the masked man? First up is Joe Vito. That's the big man from the food truck video, and he had a can of Coca-Cola and a box of macaroni and cheese. I photoshopped his face inside of the mask. Now let's do a side-by-side comparison of the original mask and Joe Vito photoshopped inside of the mask. You can see his lips are basically an exact same match. The eyes are super similar. The only thing that throws me off about this comparison is Joe Vito has a thick mustache.
No. No.
No, his
I
face.
do not think
Not
that's
even
the
the.
same person.
Yeah. No.
Look at
Wait.
the
No, the lips. The top
look
lips
at you
different.
cannot say those eyes are the same.
Look at those luscious lips. Just kidding.
Yeah, but what about the hair though?
The
That
eyes.
kind of
No, the eyes go slant upwards, and this one's
yep.
slants downwards. And he has real dark eyes. This one, I'm not sure, but I do
Hmm.
see a little beard right above his lip. This one, but it's different. Totally different. I know my lips.
Hmm.
Just kidding.
Well, his mouth here is kind of open too on the left. What do you guys think in
Oh,
chat? You
oh,
think
oh.
that's the same person?
Okay.
I don't
Remember I was
know.
telling
I
you
mean,
about the side by side of Bethany, and they were saying that because of the teeth.
oh, never mind. He put his face in this mask is why the hair looks the same. Yeah, it's not the same person. I don't think.
Me off about this comparison is just not sure on this comparison. One of the new creepy
Yeah.
neighbors that's come forward. He's done some interviews. He's raised some red
Creepy neighbors.
flags. This is him side by side with the man wearing the mask. And now you can see I have
No.
photoshopped the mask onto Enon's face. I don't really think that's a close match
Absolutely
at
not.
all, but Enon a little later on. Now this is a side by side comparison of the masked man and Adam Latta, the Adam we've previously discussed in this video, the one that Maddie told Adam everything to. And I
Nope.
photoshopped the mask onto Adam's face, and unfortunately I couldn't find a picture of Adam not smiling. So his teeth throw it off a little bit, but the eyes are super similar. And now we're going to look at another set of pictures,
Their
including some that I
lips
found on Adam's fraternity's Twitter page.
are not.
What do you think of this comparison? Somebody from that fraternity is wearing a ski mask, and that college student is the only person in that group of fraternity boys that's wearing a ski mask. Now let's look at another set of pictures comparing that fraternity boy to the masked man. So as you can see here, somebody from Adam's fraternity wears a mask, and we happen to not see
Who
Adam
is
in that
the-
picture, boys. So I'm going to go out
That
on a
was
limb and
Jack,
guess
I
that Adam
think.
Latta is
Jack
wearing the
D.
ski mask in Moscow, Idaho, on the morning of the crime. If Adam was wearing the mask, why was he wearing the mask? Is
That
it
was
possible
not
that Adam was
Adam.
hanging out outside of the house, possibly as a lookout, and playing around on his phone taking a selfie for Snapchat? These are just questions. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. Is it possible Adam went over to the crime scene was one of his roommates who might have had motive, and his roommate might have had motive after hearing everything? Because that's what he told Adam, was everything. I'm just guessing, folks. I don't have the answers, and I'm not accusing anybody of any crimes. This is purely speculation and non-factual. That's what you have to do in investigations like this, to sort through the weeds. You have to take guesses, and you have to investigate, and you have to ask the important questions that some people might not want to ask. Otherwise, how's it ever going to get solved? So now you've seen Adam, and Adam possibly was wearing a ski mask that night, and on that same night, Maddie told Adam everything. And Adam was or is Jack's roommate, in my opinion.
Totally
It's not a fact.
disagree.
That's me guessing. They've both been photographed at the same house. Some of you wanted to have a deep talk about Enon
No.
Harsh, and we will. But I'm going to save that for a future video because I've got more to say, and the investigation is ongoing. There's definitely some interesting things I've uncovered, and I do want to discuss all of that with you. I'm also working on a video of Dylan and Bethany. You don't want to miss that. Those are the two surviving roommates that were supposedly sleeping downstairs, and they weren't attacked. Anyways, if you like these true crime investigations, please consider checking out my Patreon to help support this show. If you like raw interrogation videos, you're in the right place because that's my specialty. I've uploaded more raw interrogations than any other channel on the
I like him.
Did you see her lips? That was Bethany.
Don't make me cough. My cold's almost gone. Wait, you think that was Bethany in the ski mask?
I didn't say that. Sweetie Pilo
Yes, Jay.
said that.
Oh, the first time I watched him, he scared the crap out of me. I found him on Twitter, and then I was like, oh, I have to watch it.
Yeah, Sweetie Pilo compared him because there was another girl or someone with the pink ski mask next to the one with the black ski mask, and she compared the teeth.
Compares what teeth?
Bethany's
the
and
teeth
the one in the ski mask.
I don't think they have the same complexion, though.
Who knows who it is? At first, I thought it was Jack, and then I thought Jack D, and then I thought it was Enon.
Okay, I want to check this out. I'm not a big fan of the girl that runs this show. And Jeanette something. I like Jesse Weber. But this was actually interesting. I think this was out one day ago, yesterday. I took a day off yesterday from this.
Almost.
But this is, I told Adam everything. Video sheds new light on the night of the Idaho student murders. And if I'm not mistaken, Jennifer Coffender comes onto this one. So let's see. And of course, we're going to get into the Twitter and the Reddit, but let's see what's going on with people's opinions. I do not think that it was any of these. Well, I haven't really looked too close into that David B guy, but I still think that this is somebody who they've seen. There's someone who's tried to be cool with them, and someone's definitely rejected.
Before I forget more, you know about David Loach being from Atlanta, Georgia?
No.
That's why they call him Dirty South.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Let me write that down right now. Okay, let's see what these ladies have to say.
I'll be back. Someone went out the door. I need to find out.
The hours before they were murdered, could it mean for the case? Newly released surveillance video shows Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mo in the hour and with heavily scrutinized our podcast. This piece of surveillance video is from the early morning hours of November 13th, and it shows Kaylee and Maddie walking down the street with a man who's come to be known as Hoodie Guy, and he has been heavily scrutinized online, despite the police saying that this guy is not part of the murder investigation. They don't believe he is involved. This was a Facebook group to Fox News, later to News Nation. We have requested the video from the Facebook group, and so far they have not released it to us. So let's take a look at this video clip that also has audio of Kaylee and Maddie talking.
What did you say to Adam? I told Adam.
This is what Kaylee Gonsalves' father, Steve, had to say to Fox News about the audio and the video clip.
That film, to the family, we've had that film for a while. I believe the business reached out to us directly, and after they had given it to the police. So it was kind of comforting to us because it's just two girls having a good time talking about, asking about their bartender and just being girls on their way to the grub truck.
Steve Gonsalves told Fox News that Adam is the bartender that the girls were talking to that night, and he is not part of the murder investigation. He's not a suspect. And joining me to discuss this new piece of video and the other developments in the Idaho case is Jennifer Coffendorfer. She is a retired FBI agent. Jennifer, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Jennifer, this new piece of video, and I want us to just look at it very briefly, the clip. It shows Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mogan after they left the Corner Club bar, walking down the sidewalk.
We'll go back and look
Hoodie Guy, who has been, scrutinized heavily online, despite the police saying they do not believe he is involved in this crime. So let's take a look at this, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
What did you say to Adam? I told Adam.
Yeah, Maddie.
Okay, so
Maddie
Jennifer, we
looks
hear
a little buzzed.
Kaylee and Maddie talking about Adam. Kaylee asks Maddie, what did you tell Adam? And Maddie says something to the effect of, I told him everything. And then the video moves on. So Steve Gonsalves said this Adam is their bartender. They've known about this video. He's not related to the investigation. So what are your thoughts on this?
But why are we not saying that not only is he the bartender, but he's also Kaylee's ex-boyfriend's fraternity brother,
roommate,
and friend? They're fraternity brothers, right?
I know someone said they're roommates. I've heard they're roommates, but I think they just found out today or yesterday about them being roommates. First, he was just the bartender. Then it came out that they were roommates.
Yeah, I get that because we find things out on like Reddit and Twitter and things like that the news does not put out there. But my question is, we know, and I'm sure she knows, but why do they not ever mention Xana's mom's drug charge with the 750,000 fentanyl that was in a completely different state, that they let her go to let her come to Idaho to be arrested, then to be released on her own good recognizance, because I'm sure of what happened to her daughter.
Because money talks, and they're both architects.
I get that, but I'm not. I don't. But what I'm saying is that they never mention that the Xana's mother with the drug problem, but then we had the taxi driver telling us that it is a big drug area. We also know that Enon was a meth and mushroom sheller. A mushroom.
Oh, yeah.
He was a mushroom sheller.
Mushroom.
A mushroom sheller. So you've
Hongos.
got So you've got Enon with the charge. Was it meth and fentanyl, or just meth and then the mushrooms?
I forgot. I know it's something. Meth.
I'll go back and look when I continue this video. So yeah, so you've got the taxi with the drugs. I don't think any of these girls were doing meth or fentanyl.
I think they were dealing it.
No. Well, you can. Well, I don't think that, but you can think that. Do you think maybe Ethan was selling a couple? Because back in the day, what they used to do was sell Adderall to the college kids so they could study for 3 days.
I don't know.
No, I don't think.
Someone
they're doing
in their crowd,
fentanyl.
someone in their circle.
I think it was meth. No, the mom was selling fentanyl.
Yeah, but
So
to
what
who?
if?
To the college students.
No, because the fentanyl issue happened in Arizona.
She's probably transporting it.
Well, but
Are
that's
they
just
from
weird.
Arizona or California?
No, they're all from Idaho. But I guess maybe the mom went out there. I have no idea.
I don't
But I'm
know
just
either.
saying
Yeah.
they never mentioned that, and they're not mentioning the fact that Adam and Decor are good friends. And when you think about what Kaz told me about after you see that, because I think that was taken at 1:30 a.m. Them being, hey Junie, them walking down that and talking about what did you tell Adam? I think that was 1:30. And what time did they get home? Like 1:50, 1:56.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 26 minutes before they get home. And then next thing you know, we've got these crazy phone calls to Decor. Like Kaz said, what if that was some type of damage control? Okay, let's get back into this.
So brief.
Well, first, I think answers that's about Hootie Guy. From the onset, very early on, law enforcement has said they don't expect that he is involved in this murder and in this crime. Yet he's been indicted on social media with little more than the way he looked or his positioning at the food truck. Really was not clear to me why social media sleuths jumped on him with actually no factual information connecting him. In fact, for those sleuths that really watched all of that video, you could see him actually leave in the opposite direction of Maddie and Kaylee. So it really made no sense, this belief that he was involved, combined with the fact that law enforcement said he wasn't. So in a way, the fact that this was released, I think adds to.
And the fact that he's walking ahead of them like a group of friends, like he's not even like trolling behind them. But honestly, guys, please, hey, London girl, please tell me in chat, has the police come out and have told us that the person in that video is Jack Showwater, or is the speculation from the sleuths? Because I've never heard one place where they say that the kid at the food truck is Jack Showwater. Twitter has.
Yeah,
Reddit
sleuths.
has. But not, I've never heard LE come out and say that that boy at the food truck and walking is Jack Showwater.
That Hootie Guy is not involved.
I would agree wholeheartedly. And I think it's really unfortunate. We've seen this in other cases too. But just to, heap so much suspicion on one person just because they were standing nearby. This shows that he was with them prior to arriving at the food truck, and he was standing around them at the food truck. He was with them. It appears they left the bar together. So for him to receive so much scrutiny online, I think is wrong as this investigation proceeds. And, other people have suffered from this as well, this type of
I
scrutiny.
didn't do it.
We have this bartender, I guess.
Look
The
at
father says
Maddie.
Adam is the bartender. I know when this first came out on Saturday, I was on one of the Facebook groups and I saw people then scurrying to look at Adam. Who's Adam on their social media accounts? Who are, Maddie and Kaylee following with the name Adam. And so then this guy gets put through the ringer. I mean, I find it to be really unsettling because this is like just a few seconds
Disturbing.
of their last night alive. And it could mean very little, if anything.
Exactly. It's very interesting.
I don't know how the
when you get a
parents
new
can
name
do it.
that's made public, then the sleuths just can go wild with that name. They look up all their media platforms. They look up what they've said, what they've done. Any small detail that they find out of sorts, they will take out of context.
It's
and then
crazy
blow that
what
up
they
to
do.
mean something much more conniving than it actually is. Even these words,
The
listen
drama.
to some of the
Drama
YouTubers that
people.
I've already heard take these words and blow it completely out of proportion, saying that it's very significant. You see the looks on their faces and the tone of their voices. And it's really terrible that this is happening to what
I've actually spoke to her on Twitter in a private message.
I like her.
And I
Coffin doctor.
Yeah, and I think what I was actually talking to her about is I was trying to talk to her about the Cassidy Rainwater case and her thoughts. And she answered me. But you see, you can tell that that's the exact same outfit that Kaylee was wearing. There's the holes, there's the white shoes when she had Maddie on her shoulders in that last picture. That is the outfit.
Yeah.
The pants, the shirt. Yep. And there he is. Just he came there with him.
I believe are innocent people, certainly innocent at this point. And what that means, this kind of indictment to them in the future. Sometimes people will never be forgiven or seen as innocent when they're indicted in social media with this veracity.
I want to turn now to the search for the white Hyundai Elantra. So let's look at a little bit of Moscow police discussing the search for the white Hyundai
Good
Elantra.
morning.
We have looked at massive amounts of video footage, especially in the critical camera areas. And we looked at the 24 hours prior to and 24 hours after those. And now we're extending that out even further to other cameras and other time frames. We have massive amounts of people looking at this, multiple different groups looking at different locations, just because we have investigators all across the nation that are reviewing these videos for us and sending us back information on that.
Jennifer, we know that the FBI is assisting Moscow PD in searching for the white Elantra that is seen in this surveillance footage. The one that Moscow police say they are confident that the occupant or occupants has information that could aid in this investigation. 22,000.
I mean, at the end of the day, as much as we've been around true crime and listen and research and watch, don't you think if it was one of these people that I mapped out on the map, don't you think they would have been arrested by now? Like, I don't think college kids like that can outsmart the FBI. Moscow Police Department, I don't know. I think that the chief might be Santa Claus at Christmas time, considering the coroner is like the lawyer coroner working at the bakery, maybe part-time.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, be real. But seriously,
maybe she has access. Oh my gosh. She has access to all them freaking scalpels and shit. You never know, hell.
But I'm just saying, it's like, I honestly do not think that. The only thing that throws me off with Jack and makes me think that the whole thing with Murphy being at a crime scene with 4 people stabbed to death, and he does not have not one drop of evidence that he was near the crime scene. That to me just...
Because they want to nail it down, for certain. They need to get everything. They need to get all the lab, everything, paperwork. It needs to be a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that either shows that the person that did this either loved dogs and thought, oh, let me lock the dog up first, and then. But if it's like some, psychopath that's like Danny Rowland or a Ted Bundy mind, I mean, I just don't see them putting a dog away like that. That's what throws me off. Like somebody that knew the dog and just, I don't know. Okay, let's continue.
Jack.
White Hyundai Elantras, that's a lot. So how does the FBI assist Moscow?
Exactly, Chisme. That's what makes me just keep Jack like in that back eighth of my mind, but I'm still going with an incel that didn't fit in.
PD and basically finding the
Junie
needle in
has
the
a great
haystack.
idea.
Well, this is what the FBI does so well, in large part because of all the resources we have. So what they're able to do is take this list of 22,000 white Elantras, and they're able to distribute it to their different analytical forces that are throughout the United States. Particularly our top 15 offices have.
Chisme, is Junie serious? Junie, we do that every 6 months.
To do a full one, like in the last 6 months.
We do it every 6 months. Every 6 months, we go over every single case that we followed. I've got the videos on it. We've done it like last December, then we did it in June or July, and then I told Kaz we were talking, saying that the next video of the next live soon,
December.
Yeah, we're going to go over the cases. Yeah, Junie, we do that.
You do. Just kidding.
I do. Do you do?
No.
Yeah, Junie, it's called The Case. There's they're there.
Well, the dad confirmed that Jack is the bartender, but that's it, Raybird.
No, Adam's the bartender.
Yeah, Adam's the bartender, but it hasn't been confirmed that he's the roommate.
Oh, yes, he is, because Circus crime. Well, it might not. I mean, allegedly, but when you watch Crime Circus' video, it's showing, because he got inside of the places with the floor plans, that was where Jack Decor lived, or he was at Adam's place where you see Murphy jumping on the chair.
Yes.
That was Adam's place. Yeah, Junie, definitely. The next video coming up is a play-by-play, and we always talk about it. The thumbnail's got all the pictures of all the people that we follow, and it seems like we add more pictures to the case files than we take off. It's pretty sad.
Yes.
All right, Here we go.
We
I'll
need to
drop
check
one
out
of
the
links, Junie.
Bandera County missing people update.
Yeah, I dropped a members only video tonight, and it was such a heinous crime that I don't even know how I got through it.
Huge analytics. This is day in and through information with these cars, and they pare down one by one who could possibly be associated with an Elantra.
Do you think that maybe Kaylee had a crush on Adam? That Kaylee liked Adam?
Could have. That crossed my mind. Or maybe she had been with him before. I don't know. No, because why would...
Maybe Kaylee told Maddie that she thought Adam was hot, or something like that, and then being
she
buzzed
wants him.
But we also have to remember she was moving January 1st out to Texas to start her new job.
But she might have wanted him to know before she moved. Like
Could be. Or it could
one
have been
last
a
fling.
girl. I don't think Kaylee was that type of girl for a fling, but maybe it was just like, her and Jack were over in her mind, and maybe she did have like a little thing for Adam. I mean, like, shit, Adam's a
Yeah,
cute
that's
kid.
happened to me. Yeah, you're like, wow.
And
Too
maybe
bad.
she said, I think, Adam's really hot, blah, blah, at the bar that night. And Maddie seemed pretty buzzed, kind of doing that little stumble down the road. And that jacket seems to be big for her. Like the sleeves really hang long. But then maybe that was what it was. And that's the reason that Kaylee kept trying to get a hold of Jack, because of the fact that he was told that, and that's why he wasn't calling back. But I'm just totally
Oh,
speculating. Okay,
yeah. Adam told Jack
could
what Maddie told him about Kaylee.
could have been, or not that he did, but Kaylee was worried about it, that he might have told Jack.
Yeah, you'd be like,
All right.
oh shit, I wonder what he knows. I wonder what he told him. And then you call him like, hello. And, you wait
Yep.
for them to say, blah, 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 or else be calm about it,
Yep. And then being buzzed and calling his phone and him not responding, maybe he was mad because he did hear it. Like, it could be so many things, but that does make a lot of sense. And it could have, but did it piss Jack enough to come over in the middle of the night and take care of business? I mean, I would
Well,
have to honestly believe the FBI would have known by now that it was him. Okay, here we go. You ready?
I wanted just to say one thing before I forget. That guy, David Barriocha,
Mm-hmm.
Barriochoa, he had said on that 4chan, it said that his parents worked in the cleanup business or crime cleanup business. So
Yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna go into the
yeah,
4chan after the video.
yeah, he could have gotten the equipment from there, to cover up. Okay, that
Yeah.
was it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Because I'll
talk about
forget.
that one. Yeah. No. Well,
I need to
actually,
write everything down like twice.
we're gonna go into the 4chan, Reddit, and we're gonna go into Twitter. Okay, here we go. I got to
Okay.
use the little girls' room. Be right
Yay.
back.
Okay.
That could be associated with the time and this incident.
And do you think, it's likely or possible, probable that this person may not even own this white Hyundai?
I think it's very possible that the person that they're seeking doesn't own the Hyundai, but had the use of the Hyundai for whatever reason, whether
Hyundai.
that's borrowed, whether that's somehow taken without the knowledge of the owner. It's very unclear, the words that have been used by police, but clearly they think this is a main focus that can help them solve this riddle of who committed this crime.
And it's interesting to me, there's been some reporting that I've seen that Moscow police went as far as 24 or 30 miles to the east to other towns looking for surveillance footage. Does that lead you to believe they think there was a path of exit to the east of Moscow, that they've been able to piece together which direction this car likely headed after leaving?
Well, law enforcement has used some particular words that I noticed. One was a pattern. They specifically said they've seen a pattern. That really stuck out to me because that means that perhaps they've seen this white Elantra previously and not particularly associated with the dates that are in question, but previously, and they've seen some sort of pattern of direction. So, why are they looking 24 miles away? Why these particular stops? I don't think that that's a random check. I truly believe that that was focused based on patterns that they saw involving this vehicle.
I'm kind of being, my gut is telling me they have other images of this white Elantra that they haven't released. Do you think that's likely? Because they've said things like, oh, it was in the immediate area, or it was, quote, there. And when you mention patterns as well, that to me leads me to believe people are creatures of habit. So a vehicle coming and going, when you watch a neighborhood for a certain amount of time, you're going to see people in their regular routines. And possibly the Hyundai is seen before the homicides and during, but not after. So, do you think there's other footage they have that they just haven't released showing the Hyundai maybe right there at the crime scene?
Yes, I mean, one of the pieces of footages that at least I haven't seen is the footage from the apartment owner. And it's spoken about. He talks about it. He says a white or a light colored sedan, I believe. I don't believe he's released that. I believe, other than to law enforcement, and law enforcement certainly hasn't released it. So that piece of footage is quite important. And maybe that was really the genesis of why now, through FBI analytical work on the video imaging of that, was able to make sure that that image could be pixelated down, if you will, where they can see the precise contours and details of the Elantra to know we're dealing with a 2011 to a 2013.
And the video you're talking about is from Linda Lane. That is a street that's right next to King Road. We went and looked at that apartment building, that exact apartment building, when we were in Idaho, and we saw cameras, but they were up in the parking area. We didn't see the one facing the road. And I talked to Debbie Francetic. She and her husband own that building. I spoke with her over the weekend, and she told me that the FBI did take that footage. The police took the footage. They have regular access to their cameras. And she said it was not, she couldn't tell if it was white. She thought it was a light colored car. That was what she told me. And she said it was just kind of driving by. It wasn't moving fast. She told me, she said it just kind of drove by. So she said the FBI was going to work on that video with the tools that they have. So I'll be interested to see how quickly they come up with this and find this vehicle. Jennifer Coffendorfer, retired FBI agent, thanks so much for your expertise. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for this edition of Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. It is produced by Sam Goldberg and Logan Harris. Bobby Zoki is our YouTube manager. Alyssa Fisher is our booking producer. And Kiara Bronson handles our social media. You can download and listen to Sidebar on Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And of course, you can always watch it on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. I'm Anjanette Levy, and we will see you next time.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I wonder if any of the people were in a medical program.
What do you mean?
Like they want to be doctors or surgeons, and I guess not, because you have to be in a big what?
No.
They have access to the scalpels, that. Whew.
Yeah, I actually have what they're going to school for. Marketing was one, communications maybe. I think Kaylee, or I have it written down, but let's go look at this owner of this house's background real quick. Where are you? There you are. So the owner of the house, who supposedly changed the LLC after the murders, is Daniel Jared Etsy. But he lives in a house that Laura Rose owns.
I'm lost. He's the current owner of the house at 1122?
Yeah, let me go see something else real quick.
Does Jeff Smith ring a bell?
See, he changed it to the 118 LLC.
Would that be the apartments where Enon lives? Enon?
No, this is 1122 King Road, where the college kids lived. Owned by 118 King LLC.
Oh, okay. So the
see.
company is right there. I don't know.
And this is the LLC.
That's weird.
He has
though.
no criminal. Yeah, he's got nothing criminal.
Unless he's you know how apartments are, you have a manager, in one of the lobbies. Maybe his office was there.
And see the 8, yeah, we've gone through this. is the Team Idaho Real Estate Incorporation. Which is there's the LC 1118 King. So I wonder what address this is, which is definitely an address in Moscow. I'm going to go see who it belongs to.
Mm-hmm.
So who is the agent? You need to be logged in to see the agent. Okay. Let me see.
Oh,
And here, look at.
It said 1127. Yeah. What is that?
Is that another address?
Yeah.
Hang on one second, guys. So 118 King Street. Let me see if there's one in Moscow.
1118.
It is. Wait a second.
It is what? What? You keep us.
Oh, wait a second.
So anxious.
Let me share. Is this the fraternity house?
Oh,
Baby's
because Yeah, no. Well, I do see a ramp.
5 bedrooms. So he owns this also. Let's go look at a street view real quick. See if we can see the other house. I think isn't this the house with the cameras? No, those are lights.
Is that where they were?
Is because
Okay, yeah.
it's grayed out.
Mm-hmm.
So here's King Road. There's the house.
Right next door.
There.
Oh, but which one is 1118?
Right where we were. Well, now we're on Queens Road. Let's get back on King. And this is supposedly where Jack and Adam are.
Yeah.
And he could have come down the roof. And then this right here is 1116 and 1118.
Oh, okay.
This one.
So they might have their own little office there. What's on the front stairway?
Garbage. Boxes.
And the other one was 1127.
Wait, or is this one 1104 King? So where does Enon live?
On the other side of the house, see it at the top of the little hill. It's like a red brick right there.
He lives up in here.
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
Well, if that's the case, isn't that?
That's why I was wondering if he lived right up there on the second floor, where you can kind of look down and see the house 1122.
Yeah, I thought he said he lives across the street. Maybe I should try to call him.
Because he said that he could hear them in the backyard, and it was like an amphitheater.
So let's just watch real quick about what this connection was with the car real fast. So he owns a lot of properties. And every single property is in a different LLC. Is that normal? I'm not sure they have a maintenance man. It's kind of like roommates living in a house, and it's just kind of like you share the common area, but everyone just has their own room. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's maintenance people on the property, though. Yes.
yeah, they had a landlord, and then they built the house up. They
So
remodeled
the
it and
only
added.
hey seashells, hey be real. So I think the only
Hello?
person that can answer that is if we get a hold of the owner. But have you ever, like, even when we were going through the Heidi Plank case, have you ever heard of every house having a different LLC?
No, but they might be trying to get away with it as tax fraud.
And the coincidence that he owned a
Same
white
owner.
Hyundai and then changed it to the LLC the couple days after?
Yeah,
Weird.
because the less money you make, the less amount of money you make, the less taxes you pay. So he can disperse it, and have I don't know. They can have it under a different name, I guess. Like some people we
Right.
know.
So we know that they're debunking that this is not the car, but let's check this out just to see what they say about regarding whose car it is and the situation. Because it's just weird. Like, where the heck's the license plate? I mean, it looks just like it. All right, here we go.
Elantra license place and front end damage found in Eugene, Oregon, hundreds of miles from Moscow, Idaho. Could it be the car police have been searching for weeks? I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast.
Yeah, Dragonet, I get that, but I'm saying, why wouldn't you just have one LLC for all your properties? Like, each property he owns has their own LLC to the address.
Be right back.
We've been following the
Okay.
investigation into the murders of those 4 University of Idaho
Hey,
students
Boots.
since it happened back on November
Hey,
13th.
Jess.
Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin all found stabbed to death in that home on King Road. Police have been asking for leads for weeks about a white Hyundai Elantra between the years of 2011 and 2013 that was in the immediate area of the crime scene that morning. We now have photos from Tuesday morning about that vehicle. Photos of it have been circulating online since Monday. And these are photos of a very similar vehicle found on West 7th Street in Eugene, Oregon. There is front end undamaged. The bumper is hanging off. It's dirty, and there are no license plates. So that is a similar vehicle to the one they're looking for that's been found. And I contacted Moscow police about it, and they told me that they are aware of the vehicle and they are working on it. And Eugene, Oregon police say that they will be impounding that vehicle. And joining me to talk about all of this is Jennifer Koffendorfer. She is a retired FBI agent.
Okay.
Jennifer, welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming back on.
Thank you for having me.
Jennifer, let's start with this white car. It's a white Hyundai Elantra. The photos are floating around on the internet, and they show a Hyundai Elantra with front end damage, no license plates on a street corner in Eugene, Oregon. We're not saying it's the car, but Moscow PD tells me they are aware of the vehicle. They're investigating it. Eugene PD told me they had notified Moscow about it. So your thoughts and feelings as a retired FBI agent on this vehicle just appearing on the street corner with no plates and front end damage?
Well, certainly law enforcement would be completely remiss not to take this clue seriously. They need to go out and discover why in the world and how in the world that ended up there. And if there is any connection, remember, and this is just an interesting little nugget, but Maddie was born there in Eugene. I don't want to say she was necessarily raised there. From the information I've been able to find, she
That's
spent
what
her early years
was
there.
born
But
there.
nevertheless, there is a slight connection to one of our victims. In addition, it's odd for a vehicle to sustain this sort of damage, not have a license plate, be abandoned. It is somewhat contemporaneous with these murders. Granted, it's going on 5 weeks out, so it's not as if the individual, fled to Eugene, abandoned the car, something like that. But there could be a nexus. This could be our car. It has to be investigated, and that's what the FBI needs to do.
And they are doing that, according to Moscow PD. They are aware of the vehicle. That's what they told me on Monday evening, and they are investigating. We're hoping to get more information about it. And again, they've been going through 22,000 vehicles. This could be the vehicle. It could not be. We don't know, but we're going to stay on top of it for everyone and see if there is a connection here. Jennifer, I want to move on now to the video in this case, the digital evidence. And I'm talking photographs and video. As of about a week and a half ago, they already had more than 1,000 video digital submissions. That is a mountain of material. Some of those could be brief clips, some of them could be hours long video clips. So, what does it take to go through all of that? Because I've heard people testify, police officers in the past in court, when they're talking about going through surveillance video, and they literally have to sit there and watch it, sometimes for hours, and log the details.
Well, you're exactly right. Having been on the other side of that on numerous occasions, it is painstaking. You go moment by moment, keeping your eye to every detail on that clip, everything that surrounds, in other words, what's in the background that's happening, sound, if it's available. You have to really analyze moment by moment. And sometimes, as you mentioned, these clips are very long. They have requested from the 12th through the 14th for most of these video clips. So this isn't just a snapshot in time. They are looking for incidents that occurred in and around this event. So it's painstaking. Realize that many times this is going to be analytical work that are done by the FBI's analysts, and they are very well trained. They also go to Quantico to learn investigative techniques. They don't tote a gun, but they're very well versed in how and what to look for. And I expect throughout the United States, analysts in the FBI are reviewing these videos as we speak.
So throughout the United States, so they've got, all hands on deck looking at this, because yesterday we learned that they now have 60 FBI agents assigned to this case throughout the country. They had 46 last week. So they've increased the manpower by 14 agents. That seems significant.
It's very significant. And if you look early on to the first press release, they had 22. So we've really, they've increased by threefold the amount of agents they initially had, now into the 60s. And we're talking about analytical help, support help.
7 hour, it says that it's a 7 hour and 37-minute drive from Moscow to Eugene, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
The secretaries and clerical staff behind the scenes that are really making all of this go much quicker than it normally would in terms of turning investigative findings of these agents. So you have basically the size of one of our field offices working on this, one of our smaller field offices. It's important. Everyone realizes we meaning the public, there's a killer on the loose. And this is nothing, it makes this case
no shit.
It's something that full justice standpoint. So Jan, although the public might not realize it, was at the helm of this investigation. And certainly whether it's successful or not, going to be efforts.
I want to talk about the video again. The fact that you have to painstakingly go through it, then maybe if you don't have a clear picture, it has to be enhanced. So we touched on this briefly on our last episode. What can the FBI do? I mean, I think people get a picture in their mind of some CSI lab where they do something, they adjust the pixels, and then the picture is completely clear. What
The FBI are not only well trained. In other words, they have mentors that are for months. And
I did a test with my car.
training.
The shape is kind of similar on the windows.
Because it's a surveillance video and it was grainy and it was amazing. Their returns would always help to out incidents. Positive.
Hey, Boots, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Hello, Boots. Hello, Tokaya.
And so that could be of a person or a vehicle license plate. So there's a lot they can do with the adjustments they can make in the software, I'm assuming.
Yes, and audio too. Sometimes you might not be able to pick up the audio, but they can enhance that as well. So if it can be, they can do it.
And Jennifer, I just want to talk briefly.
Boots, can you please email us at monkiemartruecrime@gmail, and we'll send you like a little welcome email. Okay, there we go.
On Monday, the police said
Very
they passed the
concerned.
threshold of 10,000 tips. I can't imagine. I've heard of cases where they
Yeah.
have 1,000 tips, 10,000 tips, kind of weeding through all of that. Some of them may be, they're not good tips. Let's just be honest, but some of them may have valuable information. So let's talk about what it takes to not only organize that, but to go through that. 10,000 tips, that just boggles my mind.
Yeah, it is mind-boggling, and it's really incumbent on the public when you're submitting a tip that you don't get extraneous tip information that you're just sending in for a reason that doesn't directly pertain to this case and this time frame and the Elantra and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, I know for a fact that tips like this come in because tips like this come to me. And so it's very incumbent on people to really keep on track, because every tip that comes in, I can assure you, they have to log it. They are cataloging it in the FBI files, and they're taking a look at it. And from that point, as they come in, they're triaging. And individuals who are triaging are typically analysts that, again, are very well educated and versed in evidence collection and what would be relevant to this case. They're also very well versed in the facts and details of this case, because at the end of the day, if you're not up to speed on what is coming in and what is happening on this case, you can't even make intelligence decisions to help guide the FBI agents that are actually doing the interviews as to what direction they should be going in. So as information comes in, they're putting it into different piles, if you will, as to what needs to be addressed first and then what needs to be addressed later. And those leads that they feel are very important, they are getting that to the detective and case agents, and that is being directed to the 60 other agents to go out and facilitate those interviews.
Well, it's certainly a monumental task, and it's very important. I mean, we have 4 kids, whether we're and we hope that they.
Lily, I am going to assume, because it was a white Elantra that was found in the area that Maddie was born in Oregon, Eugene. Hello, concern. Hello, my elderly cats. But
Is
now
that going toward?
we are going.
Were they going
ahead.
towards Atlanta, Georgia?
No, they were. Oh, I don't know. But they debunked that right here.
Oh, they did? Dang.
Investigators are aware of a Hyundai Elantra located in Eugene, Oregon, and have spoken with the owner. The vehicle was involved in a collision and subsequently impounded. The vehicle is registered out of Colorado, and the female owner is not believed to have any relation to any property in Moscow, Idaho, or the ongoing murder investigation. So, see, people were actually saying the owner of the properties, that was their car. So that's another one debunked from all of these crazy speculations.
Yeah.
But they have not come out with an update. This was actually today's update, I guess, because it's after midnight and they talk about the car. Oh.
Sorry, but my dog, I took her diaper off and she's just rolling on the floor and she's like, oh, she's just groaning. In case you hear something, that's her. And I can't get her to stop. I might have had it on too tight.
So they're saying the newest update, there have been numerous questions about leadership in this investigation. Let me be clear. This is the Moscow Police Department investigation, and I am the chief of police. The decisions are mine and mine alone. I have an excellent command staff with over 90 years of combined experience overseeing the investigation's a daily operation, and I select who runs the investigative teams, said Moscow Chief James Fry. We are supported by highly trained and experienced personnel from the Idaho State Police and the FBI. Their continued resources and knowledge are vital to our success. Our investigative units work under a unified structure and have the I don't know what that is. Autonomy to move forward and solve this case. Despite statements about my team, we remain focused on solving the murder of the 4 students to seek justice for them, their families, and to help our community heal. And then they go on, 7,650 emails, 4,300 phone tips, close to 4,600 digital media submissions, over 250 interviews.
250 interviews. That's good.
Right. And then they're just going on about the Elantra and that it has nothing to do with the crime scene, but they're still looking for an Elantra. Interesting. Okay. All right, guys, let's go watch this video. A little bit of it. I'm going to try to put it on 1.5. This is Surviving the Survivor, and he's got 2 new guests on giving their opinion on the Idaho 4, and I have personally never heard of them or seen them, and I did not watch this yet. So if we get bored, we'll just stop it. Okay. And like I said, every video I played tonight, guys, the links are already in the descriptions of this video. All right. Let's try them on 1.5.
You're on the ball, girl.
All right, here we go. I'm going to go grab a drink.
Fill us in on some of the voids we are facing well over a month into this quadruple murder mystery. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Alfred S. Titus. He is a retired veteran of the New York City Police Department. He served over 23 years with the NYPD and retired after serving 13 plus years with the Distinguished Homicide Squad and is an active member of NYPD's prestigious and world-renowned hostage negotiation team. He has a little bit of experience with over 500 homicides investigated, and he's a pretty good student too. He's got a master's and a PhD that were earned, and he's a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And if you're from Jersey like me and grew up in the city,
Brother from another mother.
In all the land.
What?
And then we have the double pleasure of Professor Stephen Smith. He is a professor emeritus where this all happened at the University of Idaho in Moscow.
You know, I like to hear everyone's professional opinion and what kind of person they think it is. Like, I like to hear everyone's thoughts.
He is the professor emeritus of the School of Journalism and Mass Media, bringing close to 40 years of experience in professional journalism as an editor of papers in Salem, Oregon, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Thank
and
you, Lilac. I love
media
my
and society
mods.
and media and ethics, and we need some of that in our day and age. And quick housekeeping notes. You can listen to Survive and Survivor anywhere podcasts are found. If you would like to help support us, which we need greatly, both emotionally and monetarily, you can find us at Patreon at Survive and Survivor. You get behind-the-scenes footage, ad-free content. And this woman here who appears on the show, that is Cutout Carm. The real one is a Holocaust survivor, a licensed therapist, and on January 5th at 8 p.m. she's taking your questions for all people who are on Patreon. As I like to do each time, these become whodunits, as Professor Titus knows, and so I like to remember the names of the victims, but let us never forget those young lives lost way too soon. Madison Mogan, 21, Kaylee Gonzalez, 21, Zana Kernodal, 20, and Ethan Chapin, also 20 years old. Now, there is some breaking news and developments in this case, but let's go to the latest here.
He's got a lot of degrees
Moscow,
or
Idaho,
awards.
where Chief James Fry says that 10,000 tips have come in so far, but emphasizes they still need help looking for that white Hyundai Elantra that Ebola was out for. I believe now it was 2 weeks ago, a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. So to you, Professor Titus, 10,000 tips on a case like this, a lot to what you would expect.
That is a lot of tips.
Yes, Seashells, that the woman, that's his mom, and she is she's been on a few of the lives talking about the Idaho. She's really an intelligent woman. Yeah, I like her.
10,000 tips is a lot to sort through. It's a lot to try to distinguish as what's credible, what's not credible, what's just if people just trying to get involved and really have no real input, or those that are really giving them quality information. It just makes the job of the investigators that much more difficult.
If I might add there, that's only 10,000 tips on the Elantra. I saw a number from the MPD just yesterday. Total tips in this case from the beginning, about 22,000.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So, Steve, I'm glad the teacher comes in to save the day. I'm glad you pointed that out. I thought that was 10,000 total tips.
Yeah.
That's a big distinction. So just 10,000 on this alone. Separately on this show, we cover a homicide case that's being tried now in the court system. And the person who's on trial, Charlie Adelson, in discovery in that case, there are 57,000 documents and 6,000 video surveillance tapes that are going into discovery. So investigators have their hands full. But Dr. Titus, to you as well,
Seashells.
60 FBI agents have been assigned to the case.
It's a
Just finding that
cardboard.
out. Last time they released this information, which was about a week and a half ago, there were 46 FBI agents. You do the math, they've added 14 FBI agents. Does that come as a surprise, or do they need that extra help in trying to figure out exactly what is happening?
It really seems like they need the help. One thing that I know just through experience with investigations and working with the FBI, as more of the case is covered, sometimes certain specialties are needed. There are agents that have particular specialties.
Yeah, Seashells, the links are in the description. He has a great Patreon. I'm actually thinking about, I've never joined one, but you can actually speak with him and his mom, and she gives you, like, if you wanted marriage advice, she was like a counselor for that. She's just such a well-rounded survivor of a Holocaust. Can you imagine? And she's very smart. She's got great insights. So he named the show Surviving the Survivor because he says that he's surviving his mother's antics. I like this show. And he has great guests.
Seashells, the Elantra, it turned out it was debunked that there was one. The one they found that was crashed.
In Oregon, where Maddie came from, they debunked it. And it's not even, and the rumor going around, which is this is why I don't jump on things right away like yesterday and say, oh my God, this white Elantra, the guy that owns the houses owns it, and they found it in Oregon where Maddie's from. Like, I have to sit back and wait until I know that what's true to the truest of what the police are kind of talking about. And I wait. That's why I like to sit back and wait.
Oh, did you see what Concern wrote?
I think I'm going to start exploiting married men. What did
Oh,
Concern
Lord.
write?
She says, have you guys seen the videos where the cops go to the house for the party and the homeowners aren't home? Did you see the male head sticking out from the background right behind the door when the girl opened it?
Yes. Yeah,
You
we
did?
watched that just before you got here. Yeah, that's the video where the cops were spilling the beers. And
Yeah, but-
Bethany.
Yeah, right when Bethany opened it, she's saying that someone was peeking at the door.
In the very beginning. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part.
Girl, you better not blink. Okay, let's go,
I
guys.
know. True that.
Let's go. Because I have not heard this. So if you guys get bored of this, let me know. But I'm curious to see what this one right here has to say. That might be Duty Ron's cousin. And I say that with no ill will because I like Duty Ron. I can't watch him because I fall asleep, but I do think he's a nice man.
Of the vehicle, that alone could have called for more investigators coming in. And the thing with the 10,000 calls, the 10,000 tips, if you think about it, there are probably tips coming in from every white Elantra that is driving around in the country. So I can just imagine it's only going to get higher. That number's going to continue to increase.
And Dr. Titus, how do you weed those out? Because I mean, it's such a big number, and you probably, in your mind, I mean, 99% are going to not really lead anywhere. But how do you make sure you're not missing the one that's important?
Yeah, that as an investigator, you have to take each tip as credible until you find out otherwise. So the full gamut of the investigation process, whatever that is for the particular tip, has to be followed through from beginning to end until it's found not to be credible. And that's a lot of work, and that alone could be the reason why they increase the manpower.
Professor Smith, do you happen to know off the top of your head? I know it's been quite a while since there has been an actual press conference. I know the PIO, who's not even really with the Moscow Police Department, has been speaking individually to the media. But any idea how long it's been since there's been an actual press conference? And does it bother you? Are you concerned that it's been as long as it has been?
Well, there was actually a press briefing this afternoon from Chief Fry. It was very short and no real additional information provided, more of the we have our work cut out for us sort of thing. If you'll recall some of my earlier comments, frankly, I'm glad they've shut up. One of the problems with this case, especially early on, were too many voices, too much conflicting information that was causing enormous
I
difficulty
like
in the
him
community,
already.
causing pain and suffering to the families. Fewer press conferences as a journalist doesn't bother me if in return what we get is a quality investigation. My journalists, my reporters would have been perfectly capable of doing their job without staged press briefings.
And I'm glad you're at least a heck of a lot closer than I am here on the East Coast. But it was my understanding that that was, they were just releasing information, but it was an actual in-person press briefing with Chief Fry. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I have no idea how many reporters were there. The clips I saw showed at least 2 asking questions, but it was in terms of providing any new information, it was valueless. And you would expect that. They still have no suspect, or at least nothing that they're talking about publicly. They still have no leads, except what they say publicly. They're still looking for the Elantra. They've exhausted, apparently, and that was one of the things the chief said, they've exhausted the local Elantra registrations. So if there were an easy path to find this Elantra and its owner, that's gone. So now, as Professor Titus has said, it gets down to real shoe leather. And I can say one more thing about the tips. I have no ability to understand exactly where these tips are coming from, but this has become such an international story. And if you think of tips including the garbage that is posted to social media, the number of suspects whose names are thrown out in social media all the time, my guess is that a good number of those tips are not from within the local community. And
Is it only me, or is this guy on the top right, who I don't even know what his name is? I couldn't tell you his first name for $1 million. But he is like basically, bam. He is completely all truth bars right there. He's just like, shut your mouth. We need to catch this monster. Speculating on everyone. I mean, look at how many people the social media and the web sleuths have accused. It could have been Jack Hadovic because he sent Ethan a Venmo. Oh my gosh. Jack DeCord, which he still sits like in 2% of my thoughts. Then we got Jack Showwater, the creepy neighbor, David B, Adam Loach. I mean, now Dylan is transgender and she could have done it. Like, people stop.
Enon.
Well, Enon, listen, if Enon never came forward, and I'm sorry, everything that I told you guys I've watched on and read on serial killers and what makes them use, which ones use knives and the mind and the this and the that. I'm sorry, Ian, I'm not saying you did it, but you fit the profile to a effing T.
And what's with him having the same address as Jack?
Yeah, I'm going to go back and put it in again and see if it does that. It's not the same address. They're completely different addresses and zip codes, but they end up at the same building.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
probably are from far-flung places where people have absolutely considered themselves experts, if you pardon my saying.
Mm-hmm. Professor Titus, I heard early on, and in the New York Post or the Daily News, someone interviewed a retired NYPD homicide detective who said, look, a quadruple homicide would be difficult for us. So 2-part question for you. Did you ever handle a quadruple homicide? And what about the high profile nature of this? How do you negotiate? That's your specialty. It was not intended to be a pun, but how do you negotiate the media in a situation like this?
Yeah. In my years in homicide, I've investigated a triple, never a quadruple. And the amount of pressure, not only from the community, the victims community, for us, it would be One Police Plaza, which is our headquarters. We get pressure from them. We want answers. And then we have the press to deal with as well. the press can be very aggressive. A lot of times we feel that when they don't get the answers that they want, they may go to other sources outside of official sources, and that's an issue. So then things just start getting crazy and hectic, and information is coming from all different angles. It can be very difficult, but I can tell you one thing for sure. Homicides do not always get solved in 30 days. They do not always get solved in 60 days. Sometimes they take years. And this is a quadruple, and it's very.
Yeah, we know it takes years. Look what happened to Abby and Libby. And not to mention the Evans girls who's never been solved. We could go on forever. But my elderly cat's definite loner, watching all his peers go out and have fun. Yeah, he said some weird stuff. And you have to remember too, like, that he never mentioned Maddie's name, but that was the only one he followed. But that was the one he couldn't remember. And then about coming over there with a bottle of wine. And Kaylee was all into drinking it, but he's never been inside the
Yeah.
house.
I wouldn't
There's
take
a
a
lot.
used bottle, because who knows what they put in there, what they could put in there. He said he had been using it to cook.
Yeah, and then practicing his fire juggling sticks, which I showed you guys a picture of him doing it. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to call him.
That means he's strong with his arms. Like boom,
Yeah,
boom,
but
boom,
yeah, but I
swish. I'm trying to make the sound. That's it.
she is so morbid, this one.
It's
But
probably
don't
because
she,
I've done a lot of wound care and stuff like that, trach care, all that, suctioning.
but wouldn't you think that if it was one of them that close, that they would have narrowed it down by now? We're talking about the FBI.
Well, I
I
do
know,
know that
Lilac.
the FBI, they asked for the videos of the ones that are about 27 or 30 miles away. They've asked for those videos. They've had the videos since November 29th.
Yeah, they're tracking the car. But how do they know
So
it's
they
the same car? It's got to be something on that car that stands out, like a sticker, or maybe they.
Oh,
What?
that's the test I did. When I went out just a minute ago, I looked outside because my car has tint only in the back part of the car, in the back seat, back windows.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tinted, but the front ones are not. The driver's seat and the passenger seat are not tinted. So when I was looking out at my car, a similar light, they all look like they're tinted.
Do you drive a white Hyundai Elantra?
Hell no.
Hey,
You know
Allie.
what I drive.
Cattails. Actually, you know what, Chiz? I don't know what you drive. Okay, let's listen, guys.
Possible that it could take that long. It could take months. We may not know who the killer is until the spring, or maybe even longer than that.
Well, it's black.
There are just so many different intermingling parts involved with an investigation that makes it so difficult to even make assumptions.
So this length of time so
Yeah.
far, 37 days, I think, when this will
And
come
I
out,
was-
is not really surprising to you, especially considering it was a quadruple homicide here.
Exactly. This is not even considered long for the standard of a homicide investigation. This is not even a long amount. This is not even a long period of time.
If my information is correct, and Steve, you'll correct me if it's not, but I think today when the Moscow police chief, James Fry, was also basically forced to concede the possibility of a larger danger with his targeting, not targeting talk at the beginning, basically said that we cannot say that there is no threat to the community. Did you hear that today? What was your take? I'm curious.
I didn't hear that today, but he has said that now before. After the first 3 or 4 days, they finally conceded that they cannot rule out a threat to the community. So that's not particularly new information within the community. Every time it's said, it's a thunderclap, and it's very difficult to overstate the fear and the suspicion and the concern within the Moscow Pullman community. People in the community believe there's a threat, and that's
there's a threat.
And if I could say for Professor Titus, it's complicating the investigation. This happened at a university community just before Thanksgiving break. And as we've discussed here before, within days, the community emptied of students. Now they've gone home for the holidays with staff. But you've got thousands of people who were in the community on November 13th who are now spread across the region or further. Potential tips and witnesses that are much harder now to track down.
Yeah. Another number that I have heard bandied about, and I don't think there's any way to officially corroborate this unless Chief Fry explicitly said this today, but there have been roughly 150 interviews conducted. To me, and I know nothing about anything, I'm a news guy that brings in the experts, 150 seems like a lot, but not necessarily in a case like this, Professor Titus. Is that a lot of interviews?
It is a lot for a single homicide. For a quadruple, when you're when you're thinking about the families of each individual victim, the friends and the associates of each individual victim, the fact that they were out throughout that evening, and so all of those interviews have to be done. There is a lot of ground to cover, so 150 is definitely not out of the norm.
Professor Titus, everyone.
And I can't stop thinking about what Kaylee's father said. I mean, it still sticks in my mind that I could see if they were leaving a strip club and someone followed them, that would be justified as targeted. I mean, why can't I get that out of my head?
Everyone's talking about everything. Is there anything that everyone is missing at this point to listen in there that may be odd or not odd?
Well, it's really hard to say because we don't have all the information, and that makes it difficult to really assess the situation. But I believe that they have ideas, they have directions, and they're just being smart and not letting the public know, which is exactly what they're supposed to be doing. The fact that the FBI is still involved and they're bringing in more people, progress is being made. We're just not aware of it. It's so hard because I've heard so many different things. I'm not even sure what's actually true and what they consider every heard. But I would think, if it is one person and multiple stabbings, there should be DNA. Anytime you enter a crime scene, you leave DNA for the most part. And when you're that active in a crime scene, that means your arms are flailing, you're moving back and forth from room to room, you're touching things prepared where you're all gloved up and wearing a Tyvek suit. You're going to leave DNA. So there has to be evidence at that crime scene. Just putting the puzzle right now.
Something else that came out, I guess some journalists, Steve, went around and spoke to sporting goods and hardware stores in the area and confirmed that police detectives had visited these sporting goods stores to see if they had sold K-bar style military knives. So back to you, Professor Titus. Is that SOP, standard operating procedure, to go out to these stores to see what was purchased? And after that, Steve, if you want to talk about the media's role so far, if they're overstepping their bounds. But to you first, Professor Titus.
Absolutely, that is standard procedure. We've had cases where we've gotten a footprint or some type of clothing or a piece of a blanket, and we've gone throughout the entire country trying to figure out who makes it, how many have been sold, where it was sold, when it was sold, credit card receipts. So this is common practice. We can hope that weapon was sold recently, but it's also very possible that he or she or they have had these weapons for a long period of time. But it is a part of the investigation that has to be covered. Absolutely.
Steve, how's the media coverage been thus far?
Well, I've talked about this before, and locally, I don't have too much concern. My biggest concern is that after so much time, I wish a couple of the bigger organizations would be just a tad more aggressive in independent reporting and a little less reliant on official statements, but that's a quibble. They've been relatively responsible. I follow this story regularly, and I find myself looking at reports from news organizations all over the place. And I'm stunned, if you pardon my saying to our friend from New York, I'm stunned by the New York press, the Post, and the Daily News, how much reporting is not based on anything other than social media rumor and innuendo. Having nothing else to say, they seem to be relying on social media to provide tips, which ultimately are proved to be completely bogus. And of course, you know how I feel about cable news. It's still shocking and appalling. The only good news there is that after so much time.
Hey, mister, we do some good.
This came out, I believe, in Chief Lanier's little gaggle today. It says the victims' families have experienced harassment and received death threats. And I'm not going to mention the forum, but there's a forum on a very popular blog site that has 78,000 members. As a guy who worked in the media and teaches media, is it shocking to you that the victims' families are being harassed?
Not at all shocking. It's horrible.
I missed that part.
It happens all the time.
Wait a second. Let me pause.
Simply getting a little bit more because of the scope.
Sometimes they
Let's
embellish.
talk to our great people inside chat.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard?
They embellish things sometimes.
What'd you just say? Embellish what?
The truth, like he's like some of the YouTubers, no one's trying to say a certain person did it. They're just saying, and we're giving scenarios and all of that because they don't have enough detectives. So I feel like we're trying to help solve a crime, and a lot of them, they do watch the channels. So they can't,
I think
they
some
can't focus on every single detail. So we're helping them, by providing them with different scenarios, and then they can check
exactly.
it out. Yeah.
I think some definitely do good. But then if you're going to speculate, like we've had so many people that they've completely dug into every one of these poor people's past and threw them out there, like finding the reason why they could be the killer. Like that's got to stop. See, I don't do that. That's probably why too I only make $100 a month on YouTube. I'm gonna start
Yeah.
exploiting every mother effing person out there.
Exploiting.
I just couldn't do it.
I have to see every single scenario. Oh, you know what? I don't know. It's been on my mind of where the knife could be, and I feel that it could be they could have gotten the knife and just, put it, you know, just put it into the ground and then just stepped on it, and then it went into the ground and then they covered it up. And they need to have a metal detector out there because I haven't seen one.
Yeah, I think this knife is important to this killer, and I believe that the knife is still with the killer.
If he hit it right there, just rammed it into the earth. Because I saw that on one of those 48 hour shows. And that guy,
Hey
they're like, "Where's
Tony.
the knife? Where's the knife?" And he took him to the place, and he says, "I just put it in the ground, and I stepped on it, and it went all the way down, and I just buried it."
Yeah, but yeah, this is like even if they're saying it's a K bar because of maybe that part that stops the hand from slipping down the blade. I keep forgetting what the name of it is. The starts with a B, I think. But I think them releasing the type of knife, I I don't know. This is you got to stop speculating and dragging people out there though until you have an idea that that could be the person. These poor people. And I have never heard of the family getting death threats. Have you? God, have you heard that?
No, and I've heard almost every guest speak about their theories, except for Duty Ron's brother. He didn't want to touch that. You know what I mean? But everyone else, they say, "Oh well, it could be this type of person. They're profiling them and all of that." So, what's
My
the
theory
difference?
is that it's somebody that I can't even keep I sound like a parrot. Somebody that was not in the college
What?
group, a little older, tried to fit in, definitely awkward, definitely rejected. And I'm telling you, my God, Enon fits the profile to a T. But I'm not saying that he's the one because I have to believe if he was, he would have already been arrested. I mean, oh my gosh. And I know what you're talking about, Tony. I saw that earlier.
I haven't heard of
Number of
anyone
family
being
members
threatened.
involved, and
Me neither.
their spokespeople and community members.
I mean, the only family you hear from really is Kaylee's father, Steve. And he seems to stop talking lately. Well, about things that he was told by the coroner, lawyer, flower
Yeah.
pot maker, and one. Yeah.
What I
Social
say?
media friends around this. Individual them the killer and Patricio and injure the family and threats. There are forums out there that claim the families did it.
Hey, Cass.
This is an insanity that is simply not to be controlled. It exists, and my heart goes out to the families involved in particular. And I have to believe, Professor Titus, that this makes work of the police all the more difficult because of the amount of noise that begins to surround this case and complicates matters considerably. And in that vein, if you notice, the lawyer for one of the families spoke to this just the other day. about the terrible circumstances surrounding the families and social media.
I would love to get the professor's take on all that. There is over the weekend there were some developments as late as Sunday, so I wanted to get Professor and retired Detective Titus's take on this. Fox News is getting a lot of information, so they got surveillance footage from a Facebook group of quote unquote armchair detectives, which I'm curious what Professor Titus thinks of that separately from what I'm about to say. But basically, it's newly obtained video which police have had, they say, since basically the beginning, and it shows Kaylee and Maddie walking down basically an empty street with another man named Adam. And the victim's father has come out and says he's not a suspect, but essentially Kaylee Gonzalez on the video asks Maddie, what do you say to...
Wait a second. Wait. That they're saying that was Adam walking in the video? What? I don't agree with that. Why would Adam be walking in the same group and Kaylee saying, "What did you tell Adam? I told him everything." With him right there. I mean, I guess it could be possible, but does that even make any sense? I have not heard that it was Adam walking in that video.
Adam and a second voice, likely Matty Mogan's responsibility. I told Adam everything. I'll let you pick this up, Professor Titus, wherever you want to. What do you make of this latest surveillance video that was gotten by Fox News, but apparently police have had, and how problematic is it that it's out there?
Well, it is very problematic that it is out there. When evidence is retrieved, it's important that it stay close to the cuff because it allows exactly what we're seeing. The armchair detectives, those people who have watched all of the CSIs and all of the Law and Orders, who now consider themselves officially detectives, they come up with their own ideas and they add their own twist to it. When a trained investigator knows that a piece of evidence.
I don't know, Tony, to be honest with you, I've never heard anyone but Sloot say that the guy at the food truck was Jack Showwater. I actually thought it was Jack Showwater, and I kind of still think it might be, but the only one saying it is people online. I've never heard the elite say what his name was. They just call him the guy with the hoodie on. Weird.
It's just what it is. One piece of a puzzle. It doesn't solve the entire crime in most cases. It's one piece and it has to be taken as such. There's so many other parts of the puzzle that when put together could show a completely different view of what you see if it's just one piece, if that makes sense. And that's the problem with little pieces being disseminated throughout social media, is that, you know, people take it and run with it and it just turns into chaos.
What is it like?
Important to remember here, if you pardon my saying, Joel. Adam is the bartender at the corner club where the girls were partying that night. Police ruled him out as a suspect weeks ago. He's got no involvement with the crime whatsoever. The reports that surfaced in the last few days have targeted him, and he's been subject of harassment from people who say, "Oh, that's got to be suspicious." There were young women talking about a good-looking bartender. The cops know this. Yeah, he's not a suspect. In fact, most of the names that float on social media are not suspects at all. They've been ruled out by the police early on.
Professor Titus, so for full disclosure, I was an investigative reporter at the Fox flagship in New York, and whenever you had to reach out to NYPD.
Ian, we spoke about the screams actually on the last live the day before yesterday, and we spoke about the screams earlier in this video with Circus Crime Drip Drop. So we've spoken about them.
You go through something called DCPI, and they're.
But Ian, what's very strange, even though you can, I mean, is it a scream? I mean, I don't know. Is it tires? I don't know. But what's weird is that Enan, the neighbor, on the post 2 days after, didn't hear any screams, didn't hear anything. But 30 days later, he claims he heard a scream. There's a lot of shady shit in this case, unfortunately.
It's not an easy task. New York NYPD does not mess around. They've got a full-time, massive staff to handle just media inquiries. I'm curious, though, your take. When something leaks in the media, you're working a big case and you see something in the New York Post, what do you all say amongst yourselves? You shake your heads, you get angry, you laugh about it. What is your reaction generally when you're dealing with these high-profile cases and stuff does get out there?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit of both. We we laugh at it because we know the details of the case, and often what comes out is quite the opposite. So we laugh to that extent. But what bothers us is that and I'm, I almost don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. We believe, most investigators believe, that the press just fills in the blanks. I'm not sure, and I don't want to put anybody down, but that's and that's where the anger comes from. Because when you start filling in the blanks, you're doing a disservice not only to the victim but to the families and everybody else, because you could be giving them hope, or you could be causing some kind of confusion in an individual's life who should not even be a suspect, and now they're in the public eye, they're a suspect, like we talked about with Adam. It just confuses everything. So we have a little bit of laughter, and then we usually get angry. And most of the time, at least while I was a detective, I retired in 2016. So social media and these detective sleuths were not as prevalent as they are today. It may be different, but our anger was focused towards the media.
Good choice of
And,
words.
I love having
prevalent.
guys like you on, Professor Titus, because the real investigators, the real detectives, you guys are very measured, very thoughtful. The media,
Wait.
which I was a part of and part of.
Eon, I think the video you're talking about is from that YouTube creator that did a voiceover that Itmel absolutely debunked. And he was even on Law and Crime and News Nation. Yeah, that was complete fake. That was fake news to stop or whatever it was. Yeah, no. That was that guy YouTuber doing that crap.
Like a gut reaction to things, a little I want to use the word sensationalistic, but we like to jump on stuff. You guys are much more measured. There's always a push and a pull with the media, which I find interesting. One of the issues regarding media is that the father of one of the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez's father, Steve, has been very vocal. He's been criticized by both law enforcement experts I've had on here and others say he's just a grieving father. But this is what he said in a TV interview on Saturday. He says, "We asked and did the obvious due diligence, and we looked into that, and it was pretty clear that this individual, Adam is talking about, was not a part of the investigation as far as being a suspect." So, Professor Smith, to you, the media, I guess, has an obligation to go after family to some degree, if you think that. But then how problematic is it for guys like Professor Titus who are investigating cases?
Well, keep in mind, I taught journalism ethics, and so I have a strong belief in an ethical foundation. So I can't speak for the media in New York. I can only speak for these organizations with which I've been involved. Ethically, we're not supposed to fill in the blanks. It doesn't mean you're not aggressive as a journalist. What it does mean is if you've got facts, you report the facts, and you don't speculate, as I've said on this program many times.
What happened? Did I kick you out?
You did, you meanie. Hey, Tom Tom.
Well, I saw you up there all alone, so I thought I'll pop up for a while. I just got home.
The juxtaposition that you're always dealing with as a member of the media.
How rude, lady.
Sorry.
I'm only kidding. I don't know what happened to Chisme. Okay. Let's listen to a little bit more and then.
As a member of law enforcement. Now, Steve Gonzalez was not the only one speaking to the media. On a Today Show once again today, an attorney for the family, Shannon Gray, came out and said he's far from satisfied and extremely frustrated with authorities' lack of answers regarding the November 13th stabbings, and went on to say, Professor Titus, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. The attorney went on to say, we want to let them know, investigators, law enforcement, that we are holding them accountable for their decision. And if they are in over their heads, then acknowledge that and turn the investigation over to someone who's more versed in handling these types of matters. So, Professor Titus, what kind of disservice is it? What kind of problem is it for law enforcement to have one of the 4 victims, attorneys, for the family coming out and basically just bashing the work that they're doing?
It is a problem. It makes it that much more difficult to be different doing. Unfortunately, the family has to understand that it is something that takes time. From what I could see, the law enforcement agency in Moscow has done everything that they're supposed to do. They have brought in the FBI. They have brought in extra FBI. They, it's just something that takes time, and the family really should not even be talking to the press openly like that. Like, I mean, I understand what Professor Smith said. Absolutely, the media's job, just like we investigate, they investigate, and that is their job to speak to the families and things like that. But for the family to be coming out and doing their own press conferences or putting out during the investigation, and it's a problem. It makes it that much harder to get the job done, and the community begins to lose trust, and it spirals out of control.
And we're going to get a question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Professor Titus, one of the families has said that they have hired or soon will hire their own private detective. I assume that has to be an issue for investigators.
Absolutely, that definitely is. However, with the amount of press that this case has gotten and the amount of attention, it's no surprise that is happening. And I'm sure other families will follow suit. Unfortunately, that investigator is more than likely just going to get in the way of police. And I'm sure that with the feds being involved, they will make sure that that investigator, private investigator, is kept at a certain distance. So it'll be handled correctly, I'm sure.
A couple more pieces of.
You know what I'm talking about too. That's why you're laughing.
That was in New York. You know, to be taken care of. That's a different kind of be taken care of. So, there's one more piece of fairly substantive news that came out, and police released this on Friday, saying that there was a possible, and I underline possible, scream picked up by an officer's body cam as he responded to an unrelated. We've seen that body cam footage. It was out in the field. Now they're saying there's a possible scream. What do you read into that, Professor Titus, and how critical could that be to the investigation?
Wow, that is like I don't even know how to explain that. But I'll say this. There are a lot of variables. I use that term in my life. I find myself using it more and more. There are a lot of variables. So that means like where did this happen? How far away? There's all kind of variables involved. But if let's say it happened in the vicinity of the home, it could be important. If it did not, then it may not be. But at this point, I think everyone is just throwing everything into this fire and just trying to see how big it can get. There's a lot more information to even be able to determine whether that screen would mean anything, but it could. It's definitely possible.
This report falls into that category of absolutely ridiculous reporting that I talked about. Didn't even make the news here locally. As many people.
I am absolutely convinced that dog has got to have something to do with this, honestly, because how can you have somebody in Moscow, Idaho, the dog is skinned and killed with a knife, and then you have 4 college kids. I mean, so now we have 2 people because the person that skinned the dog is probably one step away from skinning a human. I mean, I think they're hiding stuff and keeping stuff back.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced.
Hi, darling.
That's not related.
Darling.
Yeah, it's a sick individual who would do that to a dog. A sick individual.
So we got
And there
2
was
sick
fur.
individuals.
What about the fur on top of the balcony on that pillow?
Yeah, something weird about. I'm not sure that that's not connected.
Hey, Seashells, how are you doing?
Can't imagine having 2 people in one town with that many people. One is skinning a dog, and one is killing 4 college kids in their house. Just weird. I think I'm gonna listen to about 5 more minutes, I think, and then finish with this.
Who are saying it's a scream, say it's squealing tires in the background. It's a police officer questioning 3 students who he suspected of underage drinking. The clip lasts for a couple of seconds, and I'm assuming that FBI experts could determine in about 2 seconds if there's a scream in the background. There's just so much of this stuff floating around there. And
well, Steve, you bring up an interesting point.
Did you
Local
say
news,
squealing
television news, are they
tires?
leading with this every night, or only when there's information to report?
no, they're not meeting with it every night. As I said earlier, the
It took
local
Prince of
is still on
squealing
the story. They're running
tire
daily
marks.
updates. Television stations on their websites are providing daily updates, even though there's not often much to say. It's certainly not the lead story on TV news, and some nights it's not a story on the broadcast news at all. And there are standing sections within the local newspapers that report on latest developments. What I'm struck with as an ethicist is the level of responsibility
Alec
the local
Baldwin.
folks are showing. They are not jumping at all of these red herrings that are being thrown out there by everybody else. They're doing a pretty good job of sorting it all out.
There's actually, we'll get to viewer comments momentarily because I'd like to get Professor Titus's take on some of them. But before we get there was a European media outlet who had a reporter on the ground, and I thought it was interesting. They write that Christmas looms, but an eerie, non-festive mood haunts the snowy college town of Moscow, Idaho. And the story goes on to say that locksmith vans have replaced carolers. Some residents are requesting pepper spray or guns as Christmas gifts, and businesses are closing early. Few people want to walk alone, especially at night. Steve, I know you're in Washington State. You no longer live in Moscow, but the people you know there are people that you've spoken to. What is the sense you're getting about life on the ground in Moscow right now?
Well, what you just read is a little overripe, but it's not inaccurate. Both Moscow and Pullman tend to be ghost towns during Christmas break. They're small communities, and when tens of thousands of students leave for the holidays, things become very quiet. That is more so now. And the interest in buying personal security devices, pressure on the universities to provide security devices. Idaho is an open carry state, so you know there will be more weapons purchased, if not for Christmas presents in time for school to start. It's legal in Idaho to carry a concealed weapon on campus. I had students in my classroom who were armed. And I knew that. I knew they were carrying. So yeah, all of that I think is essentially true. There's very little festive attitudes in Moscow Pullman. There's not much at all.
And really no reason to have that in light of what happened back on November 13th. So without further ado, let's take some viewer questions and comments. We have two great minds here. Why not use them? The first one comes from Scott Jackson. This one is for Professor Titus, right up your alley. And he writes, is it likely that the police already have a suspect and they're doing surveillance on that person, waiting for an opportunity to retrieve a DNA-laden object like a paper cup or a cigarette?
Okay. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It is possible. If let's say they did have a suspect and this suspect decided I'm not leaving the house and he stays in the house, but since November 13th until now, then yes, that's possible because then they don't have any way of getting DNA or anything from him. However, if he's going about his normal day-to-day, he or she, then there will be multiple opportunities to collect DNA. You'd be surprised. I've followed people around just to wait for them to blow their nose and take the tissue or, spit on the ground. Unfortunately, these are things we do, but and it's completely legal the way. But if they have a suspect and he's out and about, he or she or they will be able to collect DNA. But it is still possible, yes.
And that is the non-glamorous side of police work, but that is old-fashioned shoe polish detective work. On to the next comment. I would love, and this has come up before, Steve, you might be able to help clarify this. I would love to hear you ask one of the investigative professionals or media experts that you have on what they think of this case possibly being connected with two other open cases, one in Oregon and the other in Washington State. In Oregon, there was a young couple attacked at around 3 a.m. while they slept. The man was stabbed to death. It goes on. The other case was in Washington State, and a middle-aged woman was killed in the same fashion while she slept in the early morning hours. This happened, I believe, in 2020. Steve, I believe police have already come out and says that there is no connection. You probably know about those cases better. What have you heard?
I've heard the same thing. Police have said repeatedly that as brutal as those crimes were, and some similarities, they're not related. The cases are simply not connected. Now, in the long run, will that prove to be not the case? I suppose it's possible. But at this time, I think that, again, falls into the realm of pretty outrageous speculation, barring some statement or fact that comes out later.
For Professor Titus from Elizabeth Healy, great show always. It just got better with Professor Titus and Professor Smith. I'm obsessed with this one thing, and it does not get discussed much. What's often talked about is how the murderer got in, but how the heck did he leave? I'd like to hear different theories on that. He had to get in a car in order to get away quickly. It's not like he could just walk down the dark street and call an Uber all covered in blood. Does she make a good point here? And how do how could he get away so easily?
Yes, absolutely. That is a great question. And I'm sure investigators tackle that with the same intensity that they tackled how the person got in. How did they get away? Where did they go? How did they get away? If they went somewhere where there were other people around, that means that someone saw them covered in blood. Someone saw them in this emotional, erratic state after. So, which leads you to believe that someone knows something besides the actual. There are a lot of us that if the offender, he knows how to get in and out without, he knows maybe to park his car in the back and go out the back window and go down, so there's all kinds of different possibilities. But it sounds like the individual had some familiarity with the location, so he or she would know how to get in or out without.
Again, it's really important to keep in mind the geography here, the topography. It's a small college town. This was an off-campus housing unit in an area that is extremely dark at night. There's not a lot of street lighting. It's right up against a forested area, and it's very short walk run to the Arboretum, which is a large forested area that's part of the campus. There are lots of ways for people to move around in the middle of the night and not necessarily have to jump in a car, and you're certainly not going to find Uber. It's a very, very small town.
I think Monkey said
Next comment comes from
okay.
Gutfinsky. One of the problems with this from the beginning is that fresh and pertinent information figured that.
Merry Christmas to you, Justice
My
James.
suspect.
Yeah,
Hey,
I thought it was
Justice.
SK.
I know who it is.
I do.
I don't have a certain person in mind. I think it's somebody who is not in the inner group. I don't think it's anyone, a Jack, a Jake, a John, the David
And
Loach and the other
Adam.
David. It's not Adam. I think it's somebody who was rejected by them, somebody who's lives in the town. He's definitely a little older. And if I had to pinpoint it right now, I would say that it was Enon, but I don't think it's Enon, but he fits the profile in my mind.
So you're like all of us. We don't know.
I just think
It's crazy.
I don't think it's someone in the group. I think it's someone that just had,
Okay.
like everything Enon said. It's like if he didn't come forward and talk on interviews, but I've seen people that have done murders and go actually and look for the people and talk on
Yep.
interviews and they actually murdered the person. But I just don't feel it's anybody that's. The only thing that throws me off is Murphy. The fact that he was put away. So that gives me like a 1% about Jack Decor. And now with the what did you tell Adam, and Adam being the bartender and Jack's buddy, did Jack snap? I mean, shit, he could have. But that's a little part.
But it could
Little part.
also go for any of the frat boys who knew Jack as a friend and knew Murphy was Jack's dog too.
Yeah. I've compared this murder from week 2. You can go
To
back and
Danny
watch my
Rowland's.
videos. To Danny Rowland.
Yeah.
The Gainesville killer.
You do. Yeah.
And he even used a K-bar knife, Danny Rowland, in his murders.
Jennifer Mars said that, and I believed her. She said that was
What?
Duty Ron's brother.
It is not, is it?
You said it was.
I was only kidding.
I was too.
Oh shit. Okay.
Hey,
I just said he's
Please have
his
whatever they
brother
need.
from another mother.
Yeah. But this is going to be an interesting question because this is what we were just talking about.
Later, some who could have provided crucial information in the beginning are starting to come forward. At this point, videotapes have been overwritten, witnesses have left the area, and other evidence may no longer be available. We always hear about this, Professor Titus, in terms of targeting, not targeting, scaring the community, not scaring the community. But what about from an investigative standpoint? Did law enforcement shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak, by saying things were okay early on and maybe missing tips from people in the area?
Well, just as it is law enforcement's responsibility to keep everyone safe, it's also their responsibility to make everyone feel safe. So finding the right balance is what is necessary. Saying too much, which is what I feel is one of the major issues with this case. Saying too much could possibly that caller stated make people believe that they have information. It's a very fine line between comfort and fear when it comes to these type of cases. So it's difficult. I wouldn't put the blame on the police department. They did what they thought was the best for the community, which is a very distinctive community. College. It's not your regular community. It's a college town, so it's different. There are students there and parents miles and hundreds of miles away, and there's all kind of different parts of the equation that make it very difficult.
A few more comments and we'll call it a wrap. This one comes from Social Butterfly. I believe this monster was injured. Someone out there knows of someone and wound. How dare you cover for this thing? Not a person, but a thing. You need to report this immediately. Back to you, Professor Titus. I mean, this kind of just horrific quadruple homicide with essentially a butcher knife. What is the likelihood that the suspect or suspects did get hurt committing
His name is my name too.
That type of homicide, 4 individuals repeatedly stabbing, if it's just one person, not only were they covered in blood, they more than likely got injured on their hands. There has to be
I think
someone,
if it was Jack, he would have been arrested already.
Knows this person, someone.
Yeah,
it could be
I agree.
mother. It could be, it could be a parent. It could be a sibling. Someone had to have seen this individual come back, or someone has seen someone who has these injuries, and either they're not putting it together, or they are, and they just don't want to, turn the person in. I think that's a possibility, very much so.
Next comment, Professor Smith, is a little more.
Remember the interview with Enon on the ladies' channel? Matthew or Janine, Jennifer, but he never showed his
Aaron.
hands.
Yeah. He kept
But he
looking
showed
towards
his
the side.
hands. But then there was another video that he was doing something or cooking or something, a new one he dropped, and he showed his hands, and he did not have any cuts on his hands. But then again, that would have been almost a month after the murders. Nina,
He
Monkey,
said he
you
heard the
have.
screams like a murder. That's what he said.
No, we haven't heard that, Nina.
Yeah.
Jack
Yeah.
says they're going to get you for that, Maddie.
Yeah. I couldn't make it out.
More up your alley. It's too bad right after word got out.
I'm also starting to honestly believe that Kaylee coming back into town with her new car and being out, I think that might have triggered this person as well. And he was like, oh, there's Kaylee. You know?
Yeah.
We just don't know, but they need to catch this crazy monster soon. I hope it's not a serial killer.
Oh,
But the weird things about serial killers is they usually only kill one person, and they're always usually at a different location, their victims. Hopefully this is not like a mass serial killer. Like, holy shit.
On the murders, they didn't put it on the local TV and radio news to tell all people and businesses to check and recheck any video footage and educate them too that they could lose it if they wait too long, depending on the type of cameras. They're obviously referring to some surveillance video that expired after X amount of days. So, Professor Smith, Steve, what is the role of the media in making sure the public is informed in a situation like this to do whatever is necessary to help solve a crime, if anything?
Well, this goes back to what I've said before. I think in the first 3-4 days of this case, local media was not maybe as aggressive as they could be. Just as quadruple homicide is going to completely overwhelm the resources of the local police department. Remember, it took 3 days, 4 days to bring in the Idaho State Patrol and then the FBI. It also is going to overwhelm local media. And I'm not sure that the right questions were asked at the beginning. They were certainly raised within a matter of days. Was it swift enough to preserve some of the evidence that students in particular might have had on their cell phones or other kinds of surveillance equipment? I can't speak to that. I don't know.
Next comment from Lynn Purcell. I came into this late. My question would be, if the house was a party house, Professor Titus, and many weekends there were people going in and out, how difficult would it be to find suspect DNA, and would a defense attorney argue that point? How much more complicated does it become that so many people were allegedly in and out of this house, Professor Titus?
Yes, well, that definitely becomes a tool for the if and when we get to that point, because like you said, it's coming in and out. However, the DNA is there, so it's still evidence. It still could lead investigators to the right individual. It's just a lot of sorting through, almost like the tips. It's a lot of information, but there could be something good there, and you have to look at each piece of each DNA sample, each tip as a possible key to the case, and you have to just aggressively investigate. So, but yeah, it could definitely be a good argument for the defense when the time comes.
And a final comment, we'll get final thoughts and we'll get out of here. This one is from Town Trekker, back to Professor Titus. This came up. I interviewed, by all accounts, a legendary Houston detective. I believe he has 400 homicide cases. He had a show called The Interrogator, because that was his skill set, was interrogating people.
Your fave.
And he brought up something about satellite surveillance. So this commenter, after seeing that episode, writes, I'm glad to hear someone mention satellite surveillance. There's no doubt one of the eyes in the sky could have picked up something. I think they'd also be checking not only local sellers of hunting knives, but also online sellers who shipped hunting knives to Idaho within the last 6 months or so. Satellite imagery might be tough in a place like New York City, but could it be a helpful tool in Moscow, Idaho, Professor?
Yes, it could be. It could be used, and if it is something that is feasible, the FBI is definitely on it. Trust me. We've had cases where we've had people found in the rivers that surround New York City, and we weren't sure if the body came from New Jersey or someone came from one of the bridges. And we've had so many resources, federal resources, where we call the Navy and get the flow of the current and the rate and the this and the that, and we're able to figure out so many different things. I am sure that the FBI has, if that's a feasible situation, as Professor Smith said, it's very dark out, so I'm not sure how well satellite will be able to pick up an image in, like, let's say, complete blackness. But if it's feasible, I'm sure it's being done. Absolutely.
And Professor Titus, when you're working a homicide, particularly a triple homicide that you said you work, how many hours a night are you sleeping, and how many hours a day are you thinking about it, and what kind of toll does that take on you?
Yeah, it takes a huge toll. In the beginning, in the first 3 to 4 days, you're not sleeping much. Getting first night knows it's 3 or 4 hours, and it may increase an hour per night from there up until maybe about 4 or 5 tops. But it is constantly on your mind. A lot of times, as an investigator, especially when you've spoken to the family and the friends, and you begin to feel their pain, and the case becomes personal. Not personal to the point where you're making mistakes, but personal to the point where you feel vested. You have a vested interest in catching this individual, and you know, sometimes you don't even realize that you haven't eaten, that you haven't slept, because you're just so into the investigation. It becomes part of you. You it's in you. It becomes very intense. It can. We've had cases where you know, we've had detectives in my office say, I can't wait to catch this guy. I'm going to put the handcuffs on him and say, such and such and such, you're under arrest for the murder of, you know, just like TV, because, you know, you're just so into the case. So that's usually what happens, and you get lost in it. And you have to, like, once the piece is over, or you break it up into shifts, and you have to unwind. You have to have some kind of outlet, whether it's working out, maybe you go home to your family.
Bring up, because the incredible work, it's hard work, it's a lot of times it's thankless work, so we appreciate it. Let's get some final thoughts from each of you. Professor Stephen Smith, please tell everyone your blog, and where do you think we head from here?
I don't have a blog, but I do write a weekly column for a local digital news site. I just think it's really important to remind people from outside our region, the kind of communities we're talking about, the twin communities of Moscow and Pullman, the home of Washington State University. This is not like urban America. These are very small towns.
8 miles away.
Dominated by the universities that exist there. The student populations are larger than the native populations. And the concept of a party house, for example, simply doesn't apply. They're all party houses. Students come, they go, they move from place, just like Moscow, where there's not much else to do. The life is completely different than we might think of daily life in a non-college town environment. And I'm sure that presents unique challenges to investigators. It increases the transient suspect pool substantially, tracking people down to talk to and to interview, particularly when they've left the town for the holidays. But it's important to remember that. It's important to remember the geography of these communities. They're in wooded, hilly places. There's not a lot of light when you get outside the main community. They're very dark. And the last point I would make is these are hunting communities. These are places where people hunt and fish pretty much universally. So when you're looking for a K-bar style military knife, it's not just online tips from you're talking about students all over the world, faculty and staff from all over the country and the world who might be coming to Moscow with things that they've owned for a long time from a lot of different places. This all falls into the myth. I'm sure, as Professor Titus could attest, that these cases can be solved as efficiently as a 1-hour episode of CSI.
I think it's a
The
psychopath.
only hunting I do is for restaurants in Miami. Dr. Titus, 500 homicide cases investigated. You got a master.
I mean, this isn't the first time university students have been murdered, but this is the first time 4 have been murdered with a knife. I mean, normally, it's horrible to say, serial killers normally go for the gun. It's quick. They get in.
Ted Bundy.
And yeah, Ted Bundy is a perfect example.
Yep. And the ones that use the knives are extra special.
Oh.
Like it's like a sexual gratification thing. And then I keep going back, and I hate to say this, but I honestly, when they say that there was no essay, so if and one of these beautiful girls was targeted, Maddie or Kaylee, was he impotent? And I've been like the vampire killer, like good looking as anything, impotent, rejected, but I don't know. I don't know what this is. This is Pat Brown's going to say something. It's only a minute, 23 seconds.
breaks down the Idaho murders.
Well, there are a couple of things that really stand out to me. And I know investigators said that the victims were targeted, and that's a behavioral term that has a lot of meaning to me. So the question is, how are they making that determination? And were they all equally targeted? And the way that assessment has to be made is to see if any of the victims were treated differently in that crime scene. This offender had to leave a lot of evidence at that crime scene. He was not evidence conscious, and so there will be forensic evidence. For example, it's likely that the offender cut themselves with the knife. After you stab that many times, your hand goes down on the blade and you cut yourself and you leave blood there, and that's DNA evidence. But I'd also say that this offender, even though sloppy in the crime scene, leaving so much evidence, he was very efficient with this knife. He was able to complete 4 homicides and then leave the scene. That tells me this person has experience with that knife, but psychopathic individuals, not mentally ill, so I want to make that clear right away, but they are people who are profoundly lacking in empathy and guilt for their behavior. And when they do commit crimes, their crimes have a very high risk element to it because they enjoy the thrill of whatever the crime is.
That's quite true what she said. They have no empathy towards what they're doing.
Nope. But they had empathy for a dog.
Yeah, which is strange. Unless, like somebody mentioned in chat, they didn't want, maybe they put the dog away because they didn't want the dog to rouse the occupants while
True.
he was doing what he was doing.
So I've never seen this before, actually. 2 hours ago, police spraying luminol and blue light outside of the Idaho's apartment building on Tuesday after the murders.
Where's
Police
that?
showing here's the apartment building they were. One sec, let's see if we can.
About a block from residence.
That's not the house right there behind there, is it?
I
Let me
can't
see
tell, but it
something.
says it's about a block from the residence where they were murdered, where they were found dead.
Well, a
On
block
Sunday.
away, that would be, there's a girl that lives in the house right next to where the car park is, where Maddie and Kaylee lived, and her parents came and got her the next morning.
So it says that they're spraying luminol in the walkway of an apartment building next door.
Oh.
Well, there's only one apartment building next door, and that's that brick one on the back
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
lot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where Jeremy lives.
And that kind of looks like brick. Let me
I thought
show
that's
you.
where Inan lived, but I'm not positive.
Oh, my elderly cat's getting into a bubble bath. Nice. Got the champers or the red wine?
Wait, what was I just freaking? Oh. So this is where they are. Does that does look like that building color?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is the apartment complex, yeah.
So this is the one back that I keep talking about, that the perpetrator stands in that parking lot and those bush line watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's across the road from the
At the
house.
balcony.
Yep.
I wonder if that's the only building that they checked with luminol.
Oh, so they're saying right here that this is not the large apartment building across from the home.
Oh.
It's the much smaller one block away.
Oh. Well, that's
I
interesting.
haven't
Why?
seen one.
But it says, there it is again, good old Taylor Ave. The stairs where the police officers are standing could be taken to get to Taylor Ave. They would take you to the backyard of a house that directly faces Taylor.
Yeah.
Is the dog ending there a fact? Because I'm just wondering, of all the walls, why spray that wall? Some kind of blood trail footsteps, unless, of course, this is the only one that got photographed while doing so. Huh.
Oh, yeah. That's the walkway Brian Enton did a live on that walks
Yeah, because
behind the
there's.
house,
Yeah.
and then that fencing, it takes you right round the back.
Yeah, we watched it, and then he got in his car and went around. He didn't go through the chain link fence to go into the people's backyard. This is a view through a kitchen window. Huh. This is what had been shared a week or two ago in this sub. This is not my photo or my markings, but it stuck out to me at the time as being very possibly right. This says heel pattern that creates a circle. So this is outside on the ground.
Like a shoe print.
You know what? Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's what they're trying to say right there. And that right there, you could actually see maybe a little tread. Huh.
But when you see the footprints right now, since it's been snowing, there's thousands and thousands. I guess people still are walking around.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we've got.
Because you know who's out there walking, JLR?
That could be.
Maybe a footprint. No, I think that's where he came off the balcony. I think he jumped right off that balcony. Yep. Well, no, that wouldn't make sense because I'm still convinced that he was not thinking that Ethan and Xana would come out. I think he got caught somehow trying to get out of Kaylee and that room, and then there was Ethan because he was found in the common part.
Allegedly.
Huh?
It's not been confirmed by LE yet.
This is in the backyard behind the couch, which you can see in the lower right hand. I thought this was interesting because of the evidence marker. Yellow plastic 3. Yeah, that's interesting. I can't see chat, guys, so you're going to have to help me out.
Okay, they got something right behind that black couch.
Yeah, I see that.
Like
I'm
a
talking
cigarette
about
butt. Yeah.
I'm talking about in chat. Oh, don't say a
Yeah.
cigarette butt.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I see that
Yeah,
creeper
Nina,
smoking.
Jeremy, that first guy that came out, said that he used to see the windows of the apartments of the house.
Yeah.
That was brought up when he was
Yeah.
walking his dog.
Well, they have a photo of Jack Showalter smoking a cigarette right on that same couch.
Wait, Jack smokes cigarettes?
They have a picture of him smoking on that black couch.
You remember I told you the person I see that I thought the knife was the person, I could see him standing in the bushes? I told Kaz he was smoking.
Yeah,
Remember, Kaz?
smoking. Yeah.
Hey,
Well, they picked
Biff.
up a cigarette butt, or I don't know if it was a cigarette butt, but they were picking something up and putting it in an envelope.
I've got like 5% if it's anyone in the immediate circle because of Murphy and everything, and the what did you tell Adam, and Adam being Decora's friend. It could be him, but I don't think it was Enon. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being him. But he fits my vision of who would have done this.
Mm. Although frat boys have, in the past, have done some mighty bad things.
Yeah. All right, that's the same thing.
Yeah, but that was my question too. Why was the dog left unharmed? Why was the dog put away? And the only two reasons I can think of is one, that the person didn't want the dog to alert the residents that somebody was in the house. But from what I've heard, the dog loved everybody. So I don't think that the dog would have roused the residents anyway. But that person
And
may
he
not
was a
have known
puppy.
that. Yeah.
But even if you're going to leave the dog unharmed, but you put the dog away in a room and close the door, I'm sure the dog was not coming anywhere near you as a puppy and being a non-barker, as they claim, to try and attack you. I'm sure that dog was probably scared to death if he would have seen that.
Oh, heck yeah.
But this is what I found curious. And then after this, I've got to wrap it up because I have got to get up early tomorrow. But did you see this when the investigators showed up at the house today, the two with the bag?
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you guys think of this?
Well,
I didn't see the
going
video.
back again. I heard about it, but I hadn't seen it.
I saw a photo. That's it.
What happened?
I got a thing on Twitter, Brian Enton saying 2 men have walked back into the house and bringing bags out. I'm thinking, what else can they be
Yeah, let me
bringing
go
out?
on Twitter real fast. They were in there for like 20 minutes. Let me open up Twitter real quick. But those webcams, 15 webcams in Moscow, I bet you that's what they were. They're tracking that car and how they came in and left. And all right, let's go to Brian Enton. He was all in their face today too. That was great.
Yeah, because he went to the police station and everything. Because he was trying to get an
Brian
update.
Enton.
Mm. Yeah, if only dogs could talk. Or, well, they do, but we just don't understand them.
What is this?
Oh, that's him going to the police station.
Accountable, and he expressed concern with who he did. The owner, I guess. So, all right, I'm like literally.
Oh, he goes to the police station?
So this is kind of interesting. They're back there.
The what, Kaz?
He doesn't get any info, unfortunately.
Yeah, I want to see this one though. I don't
Was
have.
there as two investigators show up at the house in Moscow, Idaho, where 37 days after the killings, the investigators, carrying a black case, went inside. 20 minutes later, the investigators came out, but did not answer questions. Sir, can you tell us what you were looking for? Why you were back? Do you think about the...
What kind of case is that?
Like a lab.
Trying to see if anything's on him that stands out. Or
It's
anyone on this
definitely
right guy.
Definitely a lab kit.
Hey, look at they're like in sync. Look.
Uh-huh.
Tony
What's
says
the one
they're interior decorators.
Those,
They're there to price the job. Oh, Jess, definitely
what
go
kind
to
of
bed.
case-
If Mars had you up for 3 days.
What kind of case is that?
It's a lab, like a lab kit, like she said, like Kaz
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Because you got to protect it from the sun and all that, you know. Plus, you can't. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about it. But where they put
Hey,
organs in.
Shredder.
Well, hello,
No,
gorgeous
no,
lady.
no, no. All of that's out of the house, but they went back with this special box, and it has like
Happy belated birthday,
It's
baby
like a
girl.
lab kit. The reason I said an organ box is
what does
because
his
when
shirt
someone,
say?
when someone donates their kidneys or whatever, and when the people
Smith.
that pick it up to take it somewhere, whether it be in a helicopter, they can't have it, you know, with the label on it, so it's black.
Yeah,
Either
but this
that or a
one,
lab kit.
yeah, it'll have medical vials, like Lilac said. It'll have swabs. They may have taken some more swabs of the blood that was on the
Yeah.
walls, and things like that.
Yeah, like those
They
Does
may have,
slide.
anyone know what this is? This line of clothing that they're wearing?
No.
Ooh, like a cha cha. It says Smith and something. You know what? I'm gonna have to put this in. Oh, it's different. I'm gonna have to put this in photos and see what this says.
Back at the house. Do you know anything about the Hyundai Elantra found in Oregon? Moscow police
Okay,
confirmed.
we're not gonna go to that part. I want to know what kind of bag that is. It looks like it's plastic, right?
yeah, be hard plastic insulated inside with foam to keep vials safe and things like that.
And what are these like little rivets? These little divots right here.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
where they'd have
design.
individual compartments. We used to have them when I worked for the Royal Flying Doctors.
And it
Mhm.
looks like the front of it concaves in, like it doesn't
Yeah.
have a flat edge on the other side. And I wonder what that says on his neck. I'm gonna have to blow this up in my editor and see what kind of clothes. Smith something. Does anybody know this design? Smith. I can't get that. Smith Range. It's not Smith and Wesson. And who's this dude? Hey,
Smith Rogue. No,
it could be Rogue.
yeah, Smith Rogue or SM
We're gonna have to blow it up.
Texas. Everything's Texas. SMTX or else Smith and Rogue.
I mean, so they collected all of that evidence, and there was something that they were going through, and the evidence that they had to go back and see something maybe that was missing, or they wanted to get an answer on something they already had.
Yeah. Like to verify it.
I'm gonna look into these. I'm gonna blow this up tomorrow and see what his tag around his neck says too.
Oh, it's a clothing line. Smith and Rogue men's
Yeah,
clothing.
but certain people wear certain clothes.
Oh, like a uniform, yeah.
Well, not like a uniform, but just like, like certain clothing is popular in one state or one situation, or they
Oh,
might
this
sell them to like.
one. There's one that looks like it. It says Smith and Rogue men's original canvas chore coat.
Yeah.
Chore coat.
And I wonder, Google if police officers wear that brand.
I think it'd be more FBI than police.
Well, law enforcement, federal, state, whatever. But if they're bringing a box in like that, sealed like that, and they're only in there for 20 minutes, like they know exactly what they're going in there for.
Yeah, they'd be from forensics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They might have wanted to make sure if something was positive or negative, and or maybe they just to make sure it wasn't contaminated.
I mean, shit, they could have just walked in real quick and sprayed some luminol just to see if they missed an area that was not adding up.
Could have been a lot of things. If only we were a fly on the wall. All right, I better go and get dinner.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Smith & Rogue, Coeur d'Alene store, North 40 Outfitters. Did you hear me?
She probably didn't. She's concentrating.
Okay, well, that Smith & Rogue, there's one of those stores right there in Coeur d'Alene, North 40 Outfitters. That's where Jack.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Yep.
Small little towns got the clothing store of a clothing line I've never heard of.
North 40 Outfitters in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, this dude's a creeper. Yeah, he's a creeper.
SmithandRogue.com.
It wouldn't surprise me if he was the one, but I would have to honestly believe if he was the one, he would be arrested by now. But hey, maybe not.
I hope it isn't a freaking family member.
He might just be a very unusual man, that's all.
All right, well, that's...
I can't see a thing.
Okay, listen, let's just watch this. It's not long. See what this chick says. I think
moving in the right direction, and I really love to hear that. Well, I was in Idaho last week, and I spoke at length to Kaylee's parents, and they've been informed that the investigation is moving in the right direction, and I really love to hear that. Well, I was in Idaho last week, and I spoke at length to Kaylee's parents, and they've been informed.
Well, of course they're going to say that, but it's a bit of concern that the lead investigators only have 2 years' experience. That's a bit of a concern. What did Nina say? And him looks like he would like animals. He has a cat. Yes, he does. Yeah, Lilac, I too hope that whoever's done this horrendous crime is caught soon. But it doesn't always work that way. Look at the Delphi murders. It took 5 years. It took 5 years. As much as we hope and pray that the perpetrator or perpetrators.
How weird is this?
Found.
They say this is. They say a 12:20 update, and I opened it to see, and it's from a month ago. And then right next to it is a full interview with the OnlyFans model that killed her boyfriend Christian.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for me. That's all the updates I can find. I'm gonna get the other people on the map. And so the white Elantra Kaz did not end up belonging to the owner of the house.
He did have one. Yeah, he did have one, but that wasn't the one that was smashed up. No, wasn't.
Yeah, a lady owned it. Okay,
yeah,
that's it. Everyone, thank you so much for coming in, Kaz and Chisme. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey.
If it's okay, would like to invite y'all to check out the TikTok videos I have regarding Lena Sardar.
Yeah, drop your
1
link.
year. Okay, thank you.
Have you got your link?
I don't want to bring Lena into this mess right here, but Junie's like, you guys need to do a catch up on your. I'm like, we always do follow-ups on our stories every 6 months.
We do.
We just get pissed off that we add more faces to the list.
time we take
rather
off.
than taking them off. Trying
And
to think.
poor Ma has trouble getting all the faces on the small graphic size that she's allotted, and that's sad that we can't fit all the faces.
Let me see
Thanks.
something.
Yeah, Tony says, I love the Flying Doctors. I'm single. Oh, I love your puppy dog, Tony. I'm not single. Yeah, I worked for the Flying Doctors for a long time. A long time. I love them too. I still do. I still keep in contact with them.
I mean, look at that. Look at this right here.
News update.
And I don't think everyone's even in here. Look.
What's that, darling? Yeah, they're not.
That was the last update we did on all of them. Yep.
And that's not all of them. We had to just put in the main ones. There was some we had to take out because we could not fit them all in, which is sad.
Yep.
Tony, I used to like walks on the beach. I love sunsets, and I do like Lionel Richie because I like dancing on the ceiling.
Yeah.
All of them that we have, and this is not even all of them right now. And out of all of these people, who's been found? Breasia, Brittany, Charlize, Christina. This is Eliza. Cash. Hattie Plank is still missing. Fawn is still missing. Echo's missing. Dylan, Dulcie, Kylie's found. Crystal's still missing. Layla Cavett. I mean, look at how many. Maya, Miliete, little Michael Vaughn, Michelle Bernstein. I mean, William in Australia, Suzanne Morphew, Summer Wells, the poor woman Stephanie Overholtz that was chopped up and thrown over the bridge. Sarah Everard, kidnapped by a pervert police officer in London that was jacking off at the McDonald's 2 days prior. I mean, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah, Classic and Sincere and Dimitri.
Oh, they're
and
on
Jordan.
there. Yep. Oh, well, Jordan's not on there yet because Jordan came in.
Afterwards.
We're gonna add a lot more. And I think that will probably be the next live. I think we need to get an update on the end of the year stories. All right, everyone. Have a good night, guys. And keep your
Okay.
babies safe and stay vigilant. Thank
And
you for coming in.
thank you for having us. And please hit the like or the dislike, whichever you prefer, before you leave. We greatly appreciate it. And Merry
Thank you.
Christmas to all of you if I don't see you before then.
Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, prosperous new year.
Absolutely. Love to all.
All
Love
right.
you.
Good night. Good
Love
night.
you too, darling. Good night.
Bye-bye.
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 Adios, amiga.
Ciao.